What's going on? Welcome in.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you excited to be here?
I am hyped beyond belief, people.
We want to welcome everybody in. We are the Fantasy Footballers, Andy, Mike, Jason, and we are going to be giving you some live commentary for the biggest draft of the year.
I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked all my resources, but this is the biggest draft of all time.
Of all time.
That's ever happened in fantasy football.
I'm going to check my sources.
And your sources say?
Confirmed. Biggest draft of all time.
You can see it on the screen, the SleeperBowl, the Celebrity Fantasy Football Draft. We've got big names in this draft. We want to welcome everybody in that's watching on our streaming channels, everybody on JuJu's streaming channels. JuJu Smith-Schuster in the draft. This is his league. This is his draft.
Yes.
But where does he go?
Oh, this is new territory for us. We have done countless drafts.
Yeah.
Haven't drafted with an NFL player, an active NFL player.
I have a hard time believing he gets past himself at the 7th pick in this draft. But let's go through. Let's set the stage here because the draft's going to get going momentarily on Sleeper, probably about 5 after the hour.
JuJu just sent into the chat, said we'll start at 11:05.
All right.
So we got about 7 minutes or so.
So let's walk through this a little bit. This is a you want to do scoring format? You want to talk through the scoring format of the league?
It's a full PPR league. Well, before we go scoring, let's get these people hyped. Who's in this league?
Let's introduce
because that's really
Ryan Garcia has the first pick. Jason, I'd like to see you step in the ring with Ryan Garcia.
I wouldn't because I love Jason.
Thank you, Mike. If I stepped in the ring, I would dance around as much as I could, as far away as I could.
You would not step out.
I would try to last 12 seconds, which means that's how long I could avoid that area of the ring, but I probably would not last that long.
How well would a defense of you flailing your arms above your head, running around?
I think he'd go turtle. I think he would just go turtle. He'd lay down, fetal position.
It would
number
be
one pick.
Straight back to him, running laps. That's
right.
all it would be.
At number 2, maybe you've heard of him, Ninja.
Oh.
Big Lions fan.
Yes.
Mike, you shared the red carpet at the ESPYs with Ninja.
I did.
Jason, you've chatted some Kerryon Johnson with Ninja before.
We are both big Kerryon Johnson fans. We'll have to see who grabs him first, Ninja.
At number 3, we've got Nelk. Nelk in the house, Nelk Filmz. I know that some of them, they're stranded in Germany right now, according to their Twitter page.
Oh, bonjour.
Doesn't mean you can't draft. Doesn't mean you can't draft anywhere in the world on Sleeper. The SleeperBowl right here, right now. Number 4 in the draft order, none other than the big man himself, Karl Anthony-Towns. We're from Phoenix.
We are?
If you want to head over to Phoenix, maybe play alongside Devin Booker. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't, you should.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that we would be grateful. That's all.
But Karl Anthony-Towns in the league. We're excited. We got Danny Duncan spilling pennies all over this draft.
40,000 pennies everywhere.
Everywhere. He's coming in at number 5 in the draft order for the SleeperBowl. At number 6, it's Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. Little known fact about Zac Efron. My wife, Zac Efron.
He's in love.
Zac Efron is my wife's favorite person in this draft, and I am in this draft, so that hurts.
I'm worried she will.
But I get it.
She will burst in looking for him. Is that a possibility?
Certainly.
Number 7, the man himself, JuJu, has the 7th pick in the draft.
A star is born.
Big fans of JuJu.
Yes.
Burst onto the scene. You know, we do a fantasy football podcast all year round. We are talking about all the up-and-coming players, and there's not a player we have talked about more than JuJu over the past couple of years. So excited to see what he does this season and what he does in this draft.
I am super stoked, and where he goes. That is like the first lead when this thing kicks off is like, does he go number 1? Does he go number 7? Does he get to us? I would recommend let him get to us.
Ninja's already talking garbage, saying he did a mock draft and JuJu fell into his lap perfectly in the 4th round.
Yes.
That'll be fun. Yeah, no, the idea of leveraging a trade with JuJu, using
JuJu.
himself as the lever. I just feel like we'll get value out of that trade.
Certainly. Hold him hostage.
So, who else are we up to? We're up to Tim the Tatman.
Yes, fellow streamer, Tim
Yes.
the Tatman, holding it down.
I'm worried about Tim the Tatman and Ninja Collusion. Is anybody else worried about this?
Teaming up. They're going to, yeah.
Team stream.
They're too friendly on IG.
Here's the thing, though. Tim the Tatman probably doesn't know who I am. Well, he doesn't. Maybe now. We're Tat Bros.
You are Tat Bro.
We can connect on a certain level.
Is that going to secure us some trades, Mike?
Hopefully.
We streamed on Twitch. We did some Overwatch streaming on Twitch for about
5 minutes.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've
And
got that in
our
common.
views.
You beat the game. And then
That's
you were
true.
done.
I beat
And then
it.
you were-
I
you were
completed
done.
it. That's right.
And then at number 9, after Tim the Tatman, we're excited to have him in this league. We've got Supreme Patty. Supreme Patty.
Watch
You do
out.
not know what he's going to do.
He's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah, sometimes described as the modern-day jackass, which is the same that I use for you.
That's true, and
But
I'm
for a
I'm
different
proud of it.
reason.
I am proud of it. I think he's awesome. We'll see if his personality goes into his draft picks. You know what I mean? Just wild card.
So we're a couple minutes away from the draft starting. We are drafting at the 10 spot, at the turn, snake draft. We'll get to make a couple of selections. I'm hoping to systematically defeat each and every one of these people.
See, here's the hard thing, and I hope none of them are watching, right? Because we're going to be talking our strategy.
That's true.
And we're basically going to say who we hope gets back to us. That obviously then will be more difficult. More than anything, I just hope, please, as the year goes on, fellow league mates, let's do our best, and please don't listen to the podcast. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so JuJu can't listen. He can come on, but he can't listen. We'll follow along with this league all season long. I mean, our podcast, the Fantasy Footballers, we're every day. We'll keep you up to speed with how these guys are doing. I know I am a very competitive person. We're going to want to win this league, but we're going to have some competitive people in there as well. This thing is going to get underway here very, very soon. We're going to give you our commentary. We're going to break down our thought process on who we're picking. Now, a couple things. This is there's 14 rounds in this draft. It's going to be quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, 2 flexes, a defense, and 5 bench spots.
Full PPR.
Full point per reception league. 4 point per quarterback touchdown. That's a bit of a caveat there. Some leagues you got 6 points, some you got 4. So it 6 points for all other touchdowns from other positions, but 4 for the quarterback. And that's really it. That's the draft format, and we're drafting here on the Sleeper platform as always.
90 seconds
per pick.
So every time someone gets on the clock, it will be stressful. There
Yes.
will be tilting, at least from us.
And then, it's going to start here probably within the next minute or two. We've got a couple of our producers spinning knobs, turning dials, all of that.
Levers, pulleys,
They'll let us know what's going on. If
steam
something,
gauges.
Oh,
there we go.
The draft has started. Ryan Garcia on the clock. The 101.
The 101 in play.
Now, Mike, you have a little bet with our manager about
There may be-
who may go at 101, and we'll find out soon.
There is a side wager. There is a side hustle on here. We'll see what Ryan is about, if he thinks that he can extract some value, or if he does the right thing and number 1 takes one of the big 4 running backs.
And that's the thing is
I'm actually
different
really
opinions.
nervous to see what he does.
Different
Mike has a
opinions at
lot riding on
101.
this.
And you can see the draft board up here. The Sleeper Bowl has started. Ryan Garcia on the clock. Look, part of our show is Know Your League. I don't know
Oh, Saquon!
who's going 101, but we do now. Saquon Barkley.
Look, that's Ryan. That's the right thing to do.
Mike just won $500.
Also, Damon, you owe me $500.
he thought JuJu might go number 1.
It was a
Outsmart
possibility.
the room.
Ninja quick with the Alvin Kamara number 2. Seems like he knew exactly who he was looking for. Takes him right off the bat. And it's continuing as most drafts usually do.
But no Zeke. No Zeke yet.
Christian McCaffrey at 3. So, I mean, really, you said the big 4 running backs right now with the Zeke holdout. He's usually right around here. But you might say it's the big 3 now, just with the question marks, and those 3 win.
It's fair. You can go that way. If I were sitting in Carl's shoes right now, I would be taking Zeke at 4. I still believe that he plays the vast majority of the season, if not all.
50 seconds left.
Carl.
Do
Does
people
JuJu get to JuJu? That's what I want to know more than anything.
Right now, Karl Anthony-Towns is baiting in the chat saying it's a good time to pick JuJu.
Oh, that is so funny. And here's the thing: I love JuJu. I'm a big fan. I've pumped him up all season. A lot of our listeners will be drafting him, so I want JuJu to have him in his league. Extra incentive when he's out there on the field. I don't want a week where it's like, oh no, I'm playing against myself.
He's got to get through Karl Anthony-Towns. He's got to get through Danny Duncan.
Oh!
Lev Bell at 104.
Okay,
all right.
Bell.
There is, in the fantasy football community, there's kind of split opinions about what Lev can do in New York. I'm curious. There goes Melvin Gordon. Danny Duncan taking the shot on Gordon at 105. Gordon, the question mark about whether he's going to be holding out into the season. Danny Duncan does not care.
Look, Melvin Gordon was my running back 5 all off season. I don't think it's a bad pick. If he's on the field, you're going to be happy there. Yeah, Lev Bell, all over the place. Some people think he was the best running back in football before he took a year off. Now he gets a lot of money. He'll get the usage. I know we were recently on the Rich Eisen show, and Rich Eisen called me out for my takes on
right.
Lev Bell. But we'll see. That's the great thing about fantasy. It's all going to be answered.
Yeah, very soon as well. And so Zac Efron still on the clock, 45 seconds left.
He gets to decide.
He is the deciding factor, if JuJu gets to draft JuJu. And
should JuJu draft JuJu is the real question.
Of course he should.
Yeah?
Of course he is worthy of being the number 1 wide receiver taken in drafts, and nothing would bring me greater pleasure than imagining JuJu streaking down the field for a 50-yard touchdown, in his head going, I'm going
to beat Tim the Tatman right now.
This is for Zac Efron. You're going to eat it.
There's only a couple. Oh, Zeke.
So now what if he doesn't draft himself? What if JuJu says...
Then he's not getting back to JuJu.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Let's see here.
It's time,
JuJu's
boys.
on the
It's
clock.
time.
I mean, you have to think it's going to happen, right?
Well, at this case, he also gets to make the decision that he is the first wide receiver off the board. That would be no DeAndre Hopkins. No Devontae Adams. No Julio. Under a minute left. Does he have any inside information on himself? Is the real question.
Right, yes.
JuJu, do you see the future?
Yeah, that's one of the things that's going to be interesting later in the draft. Like, what's the draft order that he takes? Maybe he's looking at other Steelers, some backups, some guys he's been seeing. Like, oh, maybe they're gonna pop this season.
Oh,
what?
Oh, man!
Oh!
JuJu has selected DeAndre Hopkins.
JuJu is the best.
JuJu's never coming back to you.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, we have long loved JuJu here, both as a player, as a man. He's awesome. I mean, he's very cool.
He went with his boy Hop.
The fact that he's on the clock, he can make himself the number 1 wide receiver. And he's like, I mean, does this mean like he thinks statistically, because of the target volume, the history, if Hopkins is the right pick on fantasy cheat sheets, maybe this is just his competitive spirit saying,
here's the thing.
I'm going to win no matter what, everywhere.
That's the thing. He wants to make sure he wins this league, and he doesn't want Tim the Tatman to pick DeAndre Hopkins there.
Wow,
it's a pure troll on Tim now.
Tim is tilting because...
Oh, yeah. He never thought JuJu would be there. Now he doesn't know.
And then he's like, do I take JuJu now to pay him back?
Tim has the star. That's his logo on the Sleeper platform.
If he takes JuJu, then JuJu has control of Tim's team. Do you realize that? On the field. He controls the destiny of Tim, the Tatman himself. Now, DJ, off the board at 108.
Maybe this is a situation where JuJu doesn't want to have himself on his team. You know what I mean?
We're on the clock.
We're on the clock.
Oh,
we need to look at our pick now. David Johnson goes 108. Michael Thomas goes 109.
Well, I know who our first pick is. Are we all in agreement?
I don't know, because to me,
still got running backs on the board. You got Connor, you got Gurley, Dalvin Cook.
I feel very conflicted to.
We have to take him.
Okay, great. So other than taking JuJu Smith-Schuster right here,
Which we'll wait. We'll use our clock up. This is
Yes.
strategic here. We got 2 picks.
We got to figure out the next one. So if we go, look, everybody's been running back early. Do we allow the wide receiver value that's dropped to us to go wide receiver? It's a 2-flex league, full PPR. Or do we go, we're running out of running backs. We need to take one of those guys.
Devontae Adams and Julio Jones are sitting there in 8 and 10.
And that would be my
Adams?
vote. I would go
Going Adams.
Well, I would go Julio first, or JuJu first.
Yes, we'll give
and
him
then I
the
would
honor.
go Devontae Adams.
That's how I see it as well.
I just
can't-
think the trade power of JuJu with JuJu is too strong.
Now, are you swayed at all going Julio Jones over Adams because we're in a full PPR?
That's interesting. Julio should have a higher reception total.
I would vote Julio Jones if we want to go 2 wide receivers.
Well,
That's not what we normally do. We're normally quick to try to grab that running back, and it's going to be a long wait for running backs.
The truth
here,
is,
guys.
we no joke, we plugged the custom scoring into the Ultimate Draft Kit. Our cheat sheet has Julio Jones above Devontae Adams.
Do you want to go 2 wide receivers is the question. Because
do.
that's the tier right here is tier 1 wideouts.
Because the big pass catching running backs have already gone. I lean going to
And then,
wide
so we'll
receivers.
find value
Julio.
at running back later on.
Yeah.
Julio and
Jones
JuJu.
off the board.
Oh, JuJu and Julio.
I'm pretty happy with that. We're off to a good start here.
I just really couldn't leave this draft without taking advantage of that opportunity at 10.
I mean, how often do you get to draft the NFL player in
Never.
their prime against them? And when the matchup comes in the season, when we're playing against JuJu and we've got him on the roster, that's just awesome. And I hope we don't have him on the roster. It's open trading season.
It's
Come
not
call.
often that we go
No,
2
it's
wide
not.
receivers, but 10-team league, also 2 flex in a full PPR. If there was 1 flex position, there's a high probability you're going to need to get another guy out there, and these are both top-tier wide receivers. Couldn't pass up the chance. Beckham goes next. So you got 4 wideouts in a row after the running backs went early.
Looks like Supreme Patty doing the same strategy we are with 2 top-end wide receivers.
Now I've got bad news, guys, because in the chat I have just made a trade with Karl Anthony-Towns. I've traded JuJu for a stale pina colada.
That one's gonna.
Did we get value?
I
don't think we got value.
I don't think we got value on that, Mike. Your authority on trades is gone for the rest of the season.
I had to take it.
Tim the Tatman back on the clock. He's got David Johnson right now. Does he continue this little wide receiver run or go running back? Still a lot of good value on the board.
Lots of big names.
And
I didn't know what was going to happen here when it came to quarterbacks as well. When does the first quarterback go off the board? When does the first tight end go off the board? We've got some smart players in the league. DJ and James Conner now both on Tim the Tatman's team.
Yeah,
James Conner with the
James
203.
Conner is Mike's guy. I wouldn't doubt that maybe JuJu was hoping to get James Conner, to pair wide receiver running back. That would make sense. And JuJu talking trash in the league. He's flat out saying he's going to win this league. And
Look, I believe he's going to try. But we're winning this league.
but we're definitely going to take it.
We're winning this league, fellas.
He's on the clock. JuJu back on the clock in the second round. Has Deandre Hopkins on the roster already. Decisions to be made at 204.
Now, for JuJu, the fact that Devontae Adams has dropped this far, it's a present, a gift to JuJu's team. If he can start Hopkins and Devontae, and he did.
I thought maybe he'd go James Washington after the performance last night.
So that's an incredibly smart pick by JuJu, getting that value.
Hopkins and Adams.
So we've got.
It's almost as good as our JuJu Julio Jones start.
Or the
Almost.
Michael Thomas Odell Beckham start. We've got
That's
3
great as well.
teams that went wide receiver in this 2 flex league.
Now,
full PPR.
So far, 100% of teams have stacked the same position. So does that mean Zac Efron has to draft another running back to keep it up?
If you want it to be the same,
Probably.
yes.
I mean, I'm a big fan for colors and symmetry.
Does he
and
have to keep the pattern?
He does.
And he did. He took Joe Mixon.
Look, starting a draft with Zeke and Joe Mixon, 2 guys that are usually first-round running backs, that's a pretty good start, too.
Melvin Gordon, Danny Duncan took Melvin in the first. He takes Mike Evans at 206. We're coming back around. Karl Anthony-Towns on the clock. Karl Anthony went with Lev Bell in the first round. We got Nelk on deck. Ninja is going to have 2 quick picks.
And then Ryan will be on the turn.
And Ryan's up.
If you're just joining the stream,
Welcome
to the party. This has been incredible, an incredible start so far to this draft. We are the Fantasy Footballers. We host a podcast each and every weekday, keeping that information right, keeping it tight, keeping you entertained.
It's go time now. This draft's happening early enough to, if you're getting ready for your league, you're getting primed, you're researching. We're talking fantasy football all year round, and right now we're 5 days a week. We get a chance to break down the Sleeper Bowl, the biggest draft
of all time,
according to Jason and my eyeballs
and my sources.
And your wife.
That was my source. How did you know?
Yes.
Incredible insight and wisdom from Andy Holloway here. All right, Mike Evans. Oh, we're down to
15 seconds left.
Ooh. So Carl better hurry it up.
When the clock runs out like this, you just assume there's fear in the soul.
There's fear. There's 5 seconds. 4, 3.
Oh, that's what it was. Carl was fighting with himself. Do I take Todd Gurley here with the knee? It's an interesting thing where Todd Gurley is going in drafts these days because he's been the number 1 guy, an absolute dominant force for fantasy football for 2 years straight. But we all saw what happened at the end of the year and in the playoffs. Todd Gurley not on the field. Concerns about his knee. Well, concerns about his workload. The Rams have brought in
Darrell Henderson.
They spent a high pick on Darrell Henderson. Jason, you were shaking.
I have confidence.
I'm shaking. Tyreek Hill went. Well, Ninja's on the clock. And I don't know
what's going to happen.
It's happening at the 3-2.
Well, we'll see, Mike.
Nick Chubb went at 208 to Nelk. Tyreek Hill at 209. Tyreek off the board. Last year in some scoring formats, Tyreek was the number 1 overall. In fact, in standard leagues, in our ultimate draft kit, he's number 1 in standard leagues by our 2019 projections. Getting the number 1 projected standard format guy at 209, not too bad.
To pair with Alvin Kamara, that's a really nice. I mean, this everyone here is off to a good start. Obviously, the first 2 rounds.
That's the easy part.
That's the easy part. We'll see how you guys are doing at round 14.
Tyreek off the board, and you got back-to-back picks for Ryan Garcia now. Laid the haymaker in the first round, Saquon. See what he's got with 2 back-to-back picks. Ninja went with Tyreek to pair with Alvin Kamara.
And Tim, the Tatman, is ruffling the feathers, calling Ninja out. Apparently there was some kind of conversation where Ninja was boldly proclaiming a running back start.
It really didn't seem like he was impressed with our wide receiver start either. Saquon and then Dalvin Cook off the board at 210. I love Dalvin Cook this year.
Dalvin Cook.
There was a world where I hoped he somehow got back to us.
So here's
due
the thing.
To sheer ignorance.
When we were on the clock and we knew we were taking JuJu because we have to, and we took Julio, if we had taken a running back there, even with Connor and Mixon and other great backs out there, Dalvin Cook would have been my pick. It's risky because of his injury history, but he's just been so good when he's on the field. They've got a team that wants to run the ball. So I love that pick with Dalvin Cook. You pair that with Saquon.
Can I be honest with you guys?
Sure.
For a moment, as we break this draft down, I'm disappointed because I wanted to see people make more mistakes than they've made.
I completely agree.
They talk all that trash, and then I expected trash picks.
Right. No, these have all been very good picks. Very disappointing. Let's mess things up a little bit, gentlemen.
I just thought it would be a cakewalk. And
you want us? You want us to make the trash picks?
There he goes.
Oh,
Kerryon Johnson.
Told you.
Off the board. Ninja takes his guy at 302.
Ninja takes my guy.
Yeah, you guys can fight. Keenan Allen right before him. T.Y. Hilton at 303, and Karl Anthony back on the clock. The big man from Minnesota. Lev Bell, Todd Gurley in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, Ninja's getting real. Alvin Kamara and Kerryon Johnson with Tyreek Hill.
It's annoying.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
Did hindsight's 2020? Are we the one that made the mistake here, going with the wide receiver, JuJu or Julio? You guys fine? Because
the truth is, we were in a tough position because we had to take JuJu.
Oh, 100%. That was never in question.
And we'll see what we can do with him via the trade market if need be. But Julio, you got to take him at the top of the second round.
So I'm talking to Ninja right now. I'm calling him a bum for stealing Kerryon Johnson from us. and he said he talked to his brother-in-law, and apparently the brother-in-law gave inside information that we would have drafted Carry-On to try and trade him to Ninja, which is 100% true.
This is how we play. This is the problem with having the podcast where we say everything fantasy football related. Everybody can know who we like, who we're going to pick, and then we go in a draft. We never get our guys.
Yeah, when we started our show, the biggest fear was that people would know our secrets in our own leagues, which is then again the whole point of the podcast. But yes, we wanted to take advantage of the league and the league mates, because that's what you do in a good draft. You don't just draft according to a script. You pay attention to the people around you. When Ninja has a logo of a lion, you're going to take a look at what you can get, but he snagged Carry-On. Antonio Brown going at 304.
Antonio, the first wide receiver paired with Lev Bell and Todd Gurley. That is, I mean, if you look over the last several years, right, who's the best running backs over the last 3 or 4 years? Who's the best wide receiver over the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
It's Lev Bell, Todd Gurley, and Antonio Brown. A lot of new destinations, so it's going to be interesting to see how this team plays out, but certainly he's got a lot of talent there.
We had our first bold pick of the draft, Danny Duncan, here in the third round, in the middle of the third. It is a PPR league, so I get the thought process. But he took Tariq Cohen, or as we call him,
Turok. The dinosaur hunter Cohen. One of the worst nicknames we have.
I'm gonna disagree with you entirely. That's the second bold pick by Danny Duncan in and of this draft itself. He took Melvin Gordon at 105 with the question marks around the suspension. Now he's got Tariq Cohen basically Cohen's his RB1 if Gordon misses time. So it'll be very interesting. He's got a wild team. Zac Efron went with Adam Thielen.
Hooked on a Thielen. I am a big believer in Thielen. I think he is absolutely fine. We've talked recently on our wide receiver episode. Are you fine having Adam Thielen as your wide receiver one? If you go running back, are you fine with that? I said just recently I would really enjoy that. And Zac Efron has done exactly that, starting with Zeke, Joe Mixon, and then adding Adam Thielen as his wide receiver one. We are now 4 picks away. We have these two typing strategy to each other.
We can see who's dropping.
Jason, we're trying to win.
Of course we're trying to win.
Also, you're on my team. We're not keeping it away from you.
No, I see it going here, but I like it. Now we're to the point where it's like, okay, all these celebs, they're real. They're playing to win. They've got good strategy. So instead of sharing our strategy out loud as we intended, we're like, oh, okay, we got to get real here.
Well, it just happened. I was messaging that Travis Kelce is dropping, and it's absolute insanity.
Dang it.
Yeah, that is great value.
In a PPR, the best PPR tight end in the game, Zeus, an absolute monster with the young dynamic quarterback. But Travis Kelce's slide, it stops with JuJu.
All right, Amari Cooper followed Travis Kelce. Kelce, a great pick by JuJu.
We are 1 pick away. There are, obviously, we are looking, and I'm sure Supreme Patty with 2 wide receivers, unless he's going the 0 RB route.
Damian Williams off the board.
Oh, I was hoping he would drop to us.
That was who I was hoping dropped to us as well, so I guess you've got 3 good pick. Congratulations, Supreme Patty. Now we're on the clock.
It is PPR, and it's 2 flex. So we could have a force of JuJu, Julio Jones, and then 2 of Stephon Diggs, Julian Edelman, Cooks, Robert Woods. I mean,
you're saying to
no way.
Try going wide receiver, 4 first rounds. Now we did this.
No way.
You wouldn't go that way?
No. Look, Devonta Freeman is the pick here to me.
Okay.
PPR league, number 1 for a high-flying offense. We need a running back. Every other team has made smart picks with their running backs. I don't want to be caught off guard with that. To me, Devonta Freeman should go off the board with their first pick, and we can look at the second. Are you okay with that, Jay?
I am fine taking Devonta Freeman here. Whatever injury risks we worry about, he's a great running back for a great offense.
Take that, Patty. Supreme Patty. You take our Damian Williams. We take Devonta Freeman.
There you go. So now it's a question of do we stack? We've got two wide receivers. Do we go 2 running backs? Is the talent there as well? Would we look at tight end? So,
Look, my vote, David Montgomery is an option here. PPR
Not for
league.
me.
Yeah,
Josh
not for
Jacobs
me
on
either.
the board as well.
Fournette or Aaron Jones would be the running back for me at wide receiver. I'm obviously taking Robert Woods, and I think that would be my pick.
Aaron Jones back at practice, by the way. You guys want to go Robert Woods? Mike,
Well,
we only got a few moments
40
left.
seconds.
Aaron Jones is the running back if I go there because the tier break has already happened where my confidence level is not the same in a PPR league as Stephon Diggs, Julian Edelman, or one of the Rams wide receivers.
Josh Jacobs is also still.
Quite a few teams with 2 running backs already.
I get that
So
there's
Aaron
some
Jones,
concern.
20 seconds.
or Stephon Diggs, Edelman.
Robert Woods.
I lean Aaron Jones. That's what,
I'm fine. If we're taking running back, it has to be Aaron Jones. That's the way I feel
Jason,
about
you're going to
it.
have to make this pick for us. This is the problem with 3 owners.
I would go Robert Woods, but I've been outvoted. Both of you said Aaron Jones.
All right, we're
I
going to
just said if it's a running back, it has to be Aaron
You
Jones.
said it emphatically. You said it like you wanted Aaron Jones.
Well, because we were talking a little bit.
I handed the pick to Jason. He's responsible for his decision there. I said, Jason, it's your pick.
I'm just saying. I heard Josh Jacobs. I heard David Montgomery. I wanted it to be clear that I would take Jones above them.
All right, so how are we feeling? JuJu Smith-Schuster, Julio Jones, Devonta Freeman, Aaron Jones. I feel like our team...
Honestly, a little disheveled by taking JuJu in the first round. I haven't had that happen at the 10th pick in any of my drafts so far.
We're gonna be fun. You don't.
Our
win.
team is great.
Yeah, every team so far is great, and this is. Look, if you're listening and you love fantasy and you want to win, here's the truth about fantasy: you don't win the championship at the draft. I say it every single year. You build a foundation for a championship. That's why we put in all the work and effort on the Ultimate Draft Kit. But you don't win the championship at the draft. You win it with your waiver wires, with your starts, sits, with your trades, with the transactions through the year. And so we'll see how...
and you want to put yourself in a position to mitigate risk a little bit at the top of the draft so that you have that strong foundation. This league is unique, too, because of the extra flex position. It's a 10-team, not a 12-team. Teams are going to be a little bit deeper. If you're playing in a 12-team, you've got obviously 2 more whole rosters that have to get filled out. Diggs ended up going right after Aaron Jones. I feel good because we've got the balanced foundation. Nobody's spent up for a quarterback. I thought somebody would do it.
That's great.
It is great strategy. The late-round quarterback model is wise. It's better when you look at how many players you need at other positions. I think, Andy, before the draft, you were thinking maybe this group we'd see 1 or 2 wide receivers go in the first round.
I think you mean quarterback.
Yeah, I certainly did. 1 or 2 quarterbacks go in the first round, and lo and behold, here we are in the 4th round. 0 have gone, as is probably wise.
All right, so Supreme Patty took Diggs. He has Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham Jr., and Diggs, so he went 3 wideouts. Damian Williams, who we know, regardless of the workload, very involved in the passing game in the full PPR format.
Oh, Tim the Tatman trying to decide, does he go with his heart?
I would have loved getting Freeman and Williams.
Or does he go by the book?
And I'm over here trying to tell him to go with his heart.
Wise counsel to a league mate, Mike. The pro move. I don't know which one it is. He went with Jarvis Landry.
I think he went with his heart.
I think he did too.
Because Jarvis, while it's a fine pick, especially in the PPR format, this isn't the area we would normally see him drafted. It's very possible that Jarvis came back, but he wanted to make sure they locked him up.
Yeah, and 2 more wide receivers off the board. It'll be very interesting to see if, Jason, you brought up Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods can get back around to us because this is the time you're going to see. I'm going to make a prediction right now. We're in the 4th round, 4th pick. 2 quarterbacks go before our next pick, and 1 more tight end. I think Ertz goes. I think Mahomes goes, and I think
Ertz doesn't go.
Yeah, here's the problem with hosting the stream.
Well, we've blocked them from watching, right?
That's true. All their IPs, they can't watch the
Somehow,
stream.
JuJu,
we have blocked JuJu from his own YouTube Twitch.
Yes, we are on JuJu's Twitch. We are on JuJu's YouTube. But JuJu, you cannot access it.
Well, what JuJu can do is make yet another great pick. This is look. You
like this value here?
I do. I mean that.
Great value.
I said it was between Aaron Jones and Leonard Fournette on our last running back episode. I brought up the fact that look, you're worried about the injury history of both players, but the guy who is the least injured right now is actually Fournette. We went with Aaron Jones, the high upside, the pass catching ability to go higher with the new offensive coordinator. But I think Leonard Fournette is. I mean, if he's on the field, he's always been great for fantasy. He gets the workload. They want him more involved in the passing game this year.
And he's Juju's running back one because he went Hopkins, Adams, Kelsey, which is a PPR powerhouse. And then I like it for his team.
Ninja, are you watching? If you're watching, but you just X that out. Don't worry about what's happening.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Don't worry. Darn it! All these people are watching. Look. I'm going to be honest. I think Robert Woods is terrible. I mean, I just think it's a bad pick. Just a bad pick. Whatever you do.
All right, now turn off the stream, Ninja.
Yes, now turn.
And now turn it off. Edelman and AJ Green.
Wow. Danny Duncan is going for the moon.
His hands are on fire.
He is going the full Bitcoin approach. He's hoping that
full Bitcoin.
LIVIN. You haven't lived if you haven't rode that train, my friend.
Wait, just because this is our job. Danny Duncan could start the season so far with Tariq Cohen and Mike Evans in the starting lineup.
It's very possible.
AJ Green, Melvin Gordon sitting it out.
Yeah,
well, AJ Green for sure is out. You think that you think
no. It's almost certain that he's out a couple of games. Yes,
but that's still. I mean, AJ Green before the injury was a second rounder. Him dropping here, at some point you've got to take a guy for value. The question is, I mean, look, if AJ Green misses 2 games and comes back and is awesome and is AJ Green as he was last year, right? He missed games, but when he was on the field, he was awesome. Then it's not a bad pick. It's just a question of. Is this something that could linger into the season and cause more issues? But that's what you said. He's swinging for the fences, right? Like he's going upside. Because if Melvin Gordon plays 16, if A.J. Green gets on and is healthy, those are superstars.
Yeah, a little early for me for A.J. Green there with the risk already on the roster. But, hey, that's his team. That's his roster. That's how it goes.
Karl Anthony-Towns pushing the limit on the clock again every time. He's like,
is it for dramatic effect?
I think it's for dramatic effect. Let's see.
Oh, nope. He
timed out.
He had him. Mahomes off the board.
So, Andy sort of got one of the pick. You called for 2 quarterbacks, and there's the tight end.
Yeah, Ertz went right after him.
He went right after that. He was just waiting. He's like, don't take Ertz. And boom. So now Ninja.
But this is what I'm talking about. Some of your favorite guys might get around to you here.
Yeah, I hope it does. 10-team league. We can have value when it comes back to the 5-6 turn. We'll see what happens. I highly recommend Sam Bradford. I think he is a great pick here, Ninja. He's going to come back with a vengeance.
I would go Bradford. Yes, Ninja. That's
Sam Bradford?
Yeah, Sammy Biscuits.
Or Peyton Hillis. I mean, honestly, the options are endless.
Great options. I mean, the world is yours, Ninja.
I believe Jordy Nelson is re-signing with the Packers to retire.
Yeah, it is true.
But I would grab Jordy here. The options.
All right, now here are some.
So Ninja told us with great veracity.
Oh, come on!
Oh, this is
that's.
Look, Ninja's team's going to be great. He's listening. He's paying attention. I mean, and he look. We already knew he loved Carry On. He started with Kamara and Tyreek Hill.
Look me in the eyes, Ninja. I'm staring into your soul.
Dirty dog.
I love the pick, though. I mean, we had a live show in L.A. a couple weeks ago where we declared my guys for the season. I made a passionate defense for Robert Woods, who I believe
Mike just called Ninja a turd.
So correction, a freaking turd.
Yeah, very mature, Mike. I really like you keeping it on the high road. But yeah, I give a passionate defense for Robert Woods. I think for fantasy this season, he is the #1 wide receiver for Sean McVay and Jared Goff's top 3 or 5 offense in the league.
3 or 5.
Well, I'm just saying the elite of the
somewhere between 3.
No, just 3 or 5.
He's 3 or 5.
They can't finish anywhere else. 3 or 5.
Hey, I would still take that.
Of course.
I mean, that guarantees top 5. He was the wide receiver 10 last year, so it's a good pick.
Kittle went next. Everything that I wanted to happen to get Robert Woods or somebody like that back to us is
Kittle.
happening,
I would have
except for the
Kittle.
part where Woods is taken.
Right. So now King Ryan with the right cross with Kittle. Brandon Cooks is his next pick on the turn, and Ninja is back on the clock.
Why does it feel like Ninja gets more picks than everybody else? That's the way it feels right now.
Because he keeps taking our guys.
Yeah.
We pay attention when it's like, you took Carry-On, you took Robert Woods. I'll tell you, man.
Don't tell him who to pick.
I tried to let him know about Sam Bradford.
He wasn't listening went Robert Woods. He said we will not guess it. So the job here is to guess it.
All right.
Does he?
He's going back to the running back pool. Oh, we could go quarterback.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think Ninja takes a quarterback here. I'm going to try to swirl his brain around right now.
We're not going to guess it. Ninja's
So if he takes
guy.
a quarterback, would you?
I'm going to say Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
That's my guess. I'm going to guess Josh Jacobs.
His team is fully balanced right now. 2 running backs. What?
Oh! This was my guy from last year.
Is this paying homage to a former Detroit Lions star?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that coming.
No,
Ninja.
look, he did not tell a lie. He did not tell a lie when he said you're not going to see this one coming. Eric Ebron, the 4th tight end taken. I mean, obviously last year was awesome. He was a top 10 NFL draft pick.
Very
and
interesting.
He has, he's got a great offense. Frank Reich, head coach for the Colts. He uses tight ends. You saw that last year. This could be a good pick in the end. But the question is, if he could have got Eric Ebron 2 or 3 rounds later, would that have been maybe better strategy?
Not sure. Based on the reaction in the chat.
Oh, were people loving it?
Yeah, some people were speaking very highly of the pick.
I
It's
imagine
a bit
he
early
had a
for
draft list that said Alvin Kamara, Tyreek Hill, Kerryon Johnson, Robert Woods, the end. And after he got his 4 guys, we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's
Nelk on the clock.
Nope.
His team: Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, T.Y. Hilton, and Zach Ertz so far.
So 1 wide receiver in a 2 flex. I would imagine he probably is looking wide receiver. If he wants to get, look, there's nobody's taking a second quarterback. So other than Pat Mahomes, the world is your oyster at that position. Maybe we should start talking up the quarterbacks, guys.
Well, only 3 seconds left on the clock.
Let's get people to start drafting quarterbacks. Oh,
well, Jason, you were right because it auto-picked.
For Josh Jacobs, Josh Jacobs was the highest running back on our list. It's one of those things where when you get a rookie, a lot of times you could get value on them because of the fact that you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I would have liked to take Jacobs over Aaron Jones. It seemed like
I don't think Nelk is happy with his pick, judging from
the language in the chat. Jacobs goes at 5:03. For what it's worth, great pick.
It really
great
is not
accidental
a bad pick.
pick.
That's who I thought Ninja when he was going to surprise. I thought he was going to surprise with Josh Jacobs.
Now, I know Karl Anthony-Towns is on a flight. This is what I've heard. He's getting primed to make his 5th pick. Lev Bell, Todd Gurley, Antonio Brown, and the first quarterback off the board, Patrick Mahomes. And we'll see what he ends up going with here.
Yeah, Nelk is not super happy with his Josh Jacobs pick, but
he should be.
I was going to say he's not now, but I think later he's going to be like, man, so glad I got Josh Jacobs there.
So let's ruin our own draft pick here and get ahead of it for a second.
All right.
With our roster construction of JuJu and Julio, Devonta Freeman, Aaron Jones. Apparently, we're big Falcons fans today. What are you looking at with guys left on the board? David Montgomery's still there. You
Marlon
also
Mack.
have Chris Carson, who's I'm in love with. Like, I love Chris Carson this year, far above some of these other guys at the wide receiver position.
It's funny because
they're thinning out in this PPR league. I mean, Galladay, Godwin's still there. Cooper Kupp, Jason. I mean, he's not Robert Woods, but he'll do.
I'll take a backup. They're going to be 3 or 5 in offenses, so I'll take any of the Rams wide receivers. I obviously love Chris Godwin. I've talked about that all offseason. I think in his new system he's going to be great. It is interesting, like the good running backs that are left, and there are several really good running backs, Marlon Mack, Derrick Henry, these guys, Chris Carson, they're all not known for pass catching. This is a full PPR league, so that's kind of where you get to the tier where it's like, are they going to be involved in the passing game?
I don't disagree with that, but Devonta Freeman and Aaron Jones, both players with a bit of an injury history. Jones just barely coming back from the hamstring. Freeman hasn't played a full season in a while. It's going to be hard for me to look at the guys on the board right now, running back, and say, hey, we need to add depth and flex power to that position. There seem to be tiers at running back that aren't there at wide receiver. So just some of the thoughts that are going through my head as we get ready for 2 picks. Derrick Henry, well, let's go back a bit. After Nelk took Jacobs, Karl Anthony-Towns took Alshon. Deshaun Watson went to Danny Duncan. And then Derrick Henry, Zac Efron took Derrick Henry with his 5th pick to put him with Zeke, Mixon, and Henry. Talk about a workload overload at running back.
And the nice thing is when you pair a Derrick Henry who's not necessarily a PPR guy, but he clearly, I mean, he finished as a top 12 running back last year despite the fact that the first 3 quarters of the season he was terrible in fantasy. That's how good he was that last quarter. Just completely took over in fantasy, took over for the Titans, got him in the playoffs. It was a great run. But he's paired that kind of boom-bust Derrick Henry, who can get game scripted out since he's not the pass-catching running back, with Julian Edelman and Adam Thielen. PPR monsters. So I think that's a pretty nice mix. When I take Derrick Henry, I want to have those other really reliable PPR-type guys.
Juju's team is annoying. DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, Leonard Fournette, and David Montgomery.
That was the guy I wanted. Dang it.
Juju's watching the stream, too.
Juju!
Don't act like you're not.
He's watching his own stream.
Yeah, he's
So
Okay.
Marlon Mack went next.
Come on. We're
Mark Ingram, and then we are on the clock, guys. 5:10 and 6:01.
Mike seems excited.
Mike really wants Cooper Kupp here.
we will have to fight if we don't take Cooper Kupp.
No,
with one of these picks.
I would go Kupp and Carson. That's my two picks right there. I'd be all over Kupp and Carson. Carson, they talked about it, using him more in the passing game, has great hands. No team runs the football more. One of the mistakes you can make in fantasy is overemphasize full point PPR versus half point and not take guys that you perceive to be, look, Henry, Ingram, Mack, those are guys that are predominantly between the tackle players. I think we go Kupp and Carson. I really do.
I would go Kupp. We only have 40 seconds now.
Well, go ahead and grab Kupp. Give us another 90 seconds.
Yeah, because to me,
now we're looking running back here, right?
Yeah,
I guess
I would love to take Chris Carson here. I think that there is a huge upside to him in the 6th round. He's one of my favorite guys. He's not going to make it back around to us.
Yeah.
And we have value picks we like at wide receiver that we won't tell Ninja about.
Right.
That's the key.
Until
Don't
after we've
tell
got
him.
I'm okay with Chris Carson. I feel like I would take Kenyon Drake. I don't know.
I would take Chris Carson over Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, I know, and I know Andy would. So that's probably our pick. Who would? Are you looking at other positions? Are you looking?
I'm just worried about the wide receiver thinning out.
I mean, look, at
We
wide
just
receiver.
took Kupp, man. We just took Cooper Kupp.
Right, but
we've got stalwarts at the top, which only two other teams have.
I'm just saying, to me, and this goes back to the Aaron Jones pick, but in this 10-teamer with 2 extra flex and a full PPR, I would prefer those to be loaded up with stud wide receivers, which we're kind of.
So where would you go if you were going to go wide receiver in
and
the
if
next
you were going to
couple
do it in
minutes?
the 20 seconds.
Yeah, in 20 seconds. I just feel like it's
hypothetically speaking,
we can commit to wide receiver on the next set.
All right, go.
Is that all right?
If I'm going to go running back, I would take Carson.
All right. You guys won't regret that. I mean, you might right now, but you won't regret it.
I'm going to send a
You're also going to see some quarterbacks go. There's
Remind me later to see if I regret selecting Chris Carson.
All right, Phillip Lindsay at 6:02. It'll be interesting to see some of these backfields. Lindsay, Royce Freeman.
So Supreme Patty started with the wide receiver stack like we did, right? So if you compare our two teams, we're right next to each other on that turn. We've got the JuJu Smith-Schuster, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp at wide receivers.
I love our team.
He's got Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham, and Stephon Diggs. At running back, he has Damian Williams, Mark Ingram, and Phillip Lindsay. We've got Devonta Freeman, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson.
I like his round 3 and 4 picks better than ours, going with Damian Williams and Stephon Diggs.
I would have rather had Damian Williams, but he took him first.
Sure.
That makes it harder to grab.
Out of our hands.
Harder to grab.
Never say anything's impossible.
Can we still draft Carry-On?
Yeah,
Is
let's
that what
get
you're
him
saying?
at the next round. I'll take Carry-On
If
Johnson.
you guys, I don't know if you guys saw it, but we at least got Ninja back a little bit. He was very upset that we took Cooper Kupp.
Nice. All right.
So hopefully he's tilting.
I'll be honest, that helps my heart a little bit. Like, I feel a little bit better now. I feel like Ninja was pick by pick siphoning a little piece of my soul, and I got some back. So there you go.
All right, David Johnson, James Conner, Amari Cooper, Jarvis Landry, Marlon Mack. That is Tim the Tatman's team, and he just stacked it with Tyler Lockett.
I love that pick. I mean, I really do. When you were talking about going,
I think I would have preferred Tyler Lockett at that spot
over Chris Carson. See,
stop.
No,
You
I
will not
get it.
regret it.
I totally get it. And I was between at wide receiver. I'll just say it because I don't think he comes
You
back
would have
anyways.
taken Tyler Lockett over Carson in a full PPR. Lockett's probably going to put up 55, 65 touches. I know you're
but
catches.
You have to project more than that for Tyler Lockett. With Doug Baldwin gone, and
we've sat here on the show though and listened to every reason that the efficiency metrics for Lockett that you've brought up are going to disintegrate.
Yes, the efficiency metrics, but I've said that should be combated by an uptick in targets.
But why would you take him over Chris Godwin or Kenny Galladay at that position when you say if you want a wide receiver?
Yeah, Chris Godwin probably would have been my pick, but it was between Chris Godwin
Chris Godwin
and
balled
Tyler
out
Lockett.
last night. I don't know if you guys got to see it.
Oh, yeah, got that little
in that
screen.
preseason game?
Yeah.
He took a screen. It
Still,
was at like the 10-yard line, and it looked like one of those where he's got a blocker out front, and there's 2 defenders, and so it'll be like a screen for 3 yards.
He could have 90 catches.
He just bowled through him. It was like, get out of my way. I'm scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, I think Godwin could be a 90-catch guy.
You hear that, Ninja?
Yeah, great. Lockett, Ridley, Boyd off the board. Zac Efron now has 3 wideouts, 3 running backs.
Look, I'm rooting.
See, I thought this would be easier to draft with you guys.
At this point now, I'm rooting for our team, obviously, and Ninja because it's like our team East, the footballers East Coast. If he keeps grabbing guys we love.
If he wins, he did it with our guys.
100%. Right, exactly. If he wins, then I want credit. That's all I'm saying. It's pretty easy. And really, and since we're hosting, I would just like to say whoever wins, whoever it is, I would love credit.
Ninja just dropped in a Zac Efron crying gif into the chat. This is an unbelievable move. Oh,
Very
yes.
similar to the look on Jason's face when Ninja has picked so far.
All right, so we've got Zac Efron takes
By the way,
Tyler
JuJu
Boyd.
took Calvin Ridley. What do you read into JuJu picking up Calvin Ridley there ahead of Boyd, ahead of DJ Moore? I mean, JuJu knows the wide receiver position slightly better than I do.
Calvin Ridley is an excellent wide receiver, and he's on one of the best offenses in the league. So
He would have been in consideration for our team, except we had Julio and Devontae Adams. I don't
Right.
want all of one team.
You mean Devonta Freeman?
Devonta Freeman, that's right. I don't know how to speak well.
But Ridley is one of the players that could take the second-year wide receiver jump. But it's a competition. But with him and Mohamed Sanu in snaps and targets, we'll see if Calvin Ridley can separate himself.
So it's difficult to draft and commentate a draft, right? Like usually I'm always paying attention to what's going on. I got my printed cheat sheet. But I'm looking at
Where'd
this.
you get that?
TheUltimateDraftKit.com. Great question. No, the reality is I was looking because once Zac Efron took Tyler Boyd, I was like, oh man, I didn't even see him there when I was considering Tyler Lockett and Chris Godwin, and I look at our cheat sheet, and that was Tyler Boyd is a great pick there in a full PPR.
It's a great pick.
He's ahead of those other 2 guys in our.
What I heard you say is when I looked down, I didn't even notice that Zac Efron was there. Like I thought you were going to imply that Zac Efron could be drafted right now.
Is that possible?
Can we draft Zac Efron?
Well, we drafted
My
JuJu.
wife would be thrilled. She would be so proud of us.
Big run of wideouts off the board. Lockett, Ridley, Boyd, DJ Moore, Kenny Galladay, Mike Williams. Understandable.
Ninja's on the clock.
Ninja back on the clock. I would go 2 Colts tight ends here for Ninja.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stack it with.
Now it's
Jack
just
Doyle.
the chat's just filling up with gifts.
Yeah,
at this
I love
point.
it. Just gifts of people in.
I wonder if Ninja's
the
going to
draft.
mix it up here.
If
What
he's
do you mean
gonna
mix it up?
I feel like that's a Joe Mixon reference, but he's been drafted.
No, it's not. It's a good reference. You guys just suck.
Oh,
Eric
goodness.
Ebron
Well,
was his last pick, and Ninja will respect it.
No, I get it now, but
It's
Mixon,
okay.
not
Mediocre.
Mixer.
Yeah. You could have got it.
My head is in the
It was
draft.
possible.
I give it like a 3 out of 10.
Well, of course you do. You didn't get it. You think you're really smart.
Wait, that's how all of my jokes go.
That's
we
true.
don't get it?
This is for you, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, he's running down to the wire. Baker Mayfield with the last-second pure tilt pick from Ninja. Just pure unadulterated tilt. That's what I'm going to infer by the 1-second call.
So
he
he's
went
the third?
Baker over Luck. He went Baker over
I would go
Aaron
Baker over Luck right
Rodgers.
now.
He went Baker over a number of guys that we're fans of. Obviously, Baker, the upside's huge.
I do not blame at all taking Baker here over those guys. I wonder what the loss of Duke Johnson might do, but I mean, you've got a superstar in Baker.
The loss of Duke Johnson and the addition of Odell Beckham Jr.
Well,
I don't look at that at all.
King Ryan going with Andrew Luck, Ryan Garcia taking another quarterback.
quarterback's starting to go.
That's fine.
Great. Take all the quarterbacks.
King Ryan, I know you grabbed Andrew Luck, dealing with a calf strain right now. I would pair that with another quarterback.
Sam Bradford once again available.
I would
Anybody
certainly look to.
a free ultimate draft kit to the first guy that takes Sam Bradford in this draft, if that's of interest.
I'm going to take him.
No, you're not.
No, overruled.
So let's lay this out here. By the way, if you're just joining the stream or you joined in the last few minutes, Andy, Mike, and Jason from the Fantasy Footballers Podcast welcoming you into the Sleeper Bowl, hosted on Sleeper, the best fantasy football platform in all the land. This is JuJu's draft. This is JuJu's streams. If you might be watching over on the Team JuJu page, over on his YouTube, over on his Twitch.
We've got just a star-studded draft here with Ryan Garcia, Ninja, Nelk Filmz, Karl Anthony-Towns, Danny Duncan, Zac Efron, JuJu Smith-Schuster, Tim the Tatman, Supreme Patty, and then there's us.
And they let us into.
And then there's like, the Sesame Street thing.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, that's us. Welcome. Happy to have you.
Why would you say that about Tim?
Oh, good body.
Oh, man. Luck, and then Lamar Miller. Chris Godwin, Ninja took him at 7:02.
Of course he did.
Makes sense.
Of course, because he's watching the stream.
Is a good pick. Darn it. All right. Well, here's the thing. I'm really happy that championships aren't won at the draft. Because through the season, we're going to be making moves, making
That's
trades.
a makeup pick for Eric Ebron, in my opinion. Just snagging Godwin in the 7th of a PPR.
He was
even
probably
a 10-team.
Look. This could have been good strategy by Ninja, because if he was going down to the wire with Chris Godwin versus Baker, and he wanted Baker, right? King Ryan took Andrew Luck, so he was probably deciding which guy has a better chance of getting back to him. And if that is the case, then he made the right call, getting the quarterback he wants, and then getting Chris Godwin. I don't know that that's the case, but I'm sure it was. 100%.
Well, he announced that Baker was a last-second pick.
Oh, okay. All right.
He knew he wanted to get him.
Hey, if you want your guy, you take your guy.
I totally get it. When the clock is running out and you are tilting.
Of course, in Ninja's case, he takes Jason's guy as well.
Right. Well,
fair.
Matt Ryan goes after Godwin. By the way, if you had tried to convince me, if you really wanted to go wide receiver, if you had tried to convince me of Godwin at 6:01 over Carson, you could have convinced me. But I'm happy with Carson. You'll be happy with Carson. I promise.
And Ninja, you'll be happy with Godwin.
Yeah, you will. Matt Ryan off the board. Then O.J. Howard, Jared Cook. 2 more tight ends. Zac Efron back on the board.
There are 3 teams without a tight end right now. We are one of them.
And there goes Evan Ingram.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for highlighting the.
I said it as it happened. That wasn't
your
a
fault.
stream pick. My
Hopkins, Adams, Kelsey, Fournette, Montgomery, Ridley for the man of the hour. JuJu back on the clock once again.
Man, Zac Efron's team is great because, I think Boyd was a great pick. Derrick Henry stacked well with his PPR guys. And Evan Ingram, I would have taken over Cook, over Howard, over Ebron. I would have taken him, at value rounds ago, considering some of the tight ends that went. So I am really liking that team. Maybe after the draft, we can just do a team for team trade. Hit me up, Zach.
Ooh.
All right.
JuJu.
Oh, there you go. Tevin Coleman off the board. I was just sending a message to these guys saying, hey, let's look at Tevin Coleman here.
Literally an internal message. You just said, Tevin looks like fire here. And then Tevin Coleman picked by JuJu. All right.
Well, we're almost on the clock.
3 picks
right
away.
now, Tim the Tatman drafting once again. A number of wide receivers that I love for breakout potential, too, on this list. Love Christian Kirk in Arizona with Kyler Murray.
Can we get my boy?
Love Dante Pettis. Love Robbie Anderson. Value. Plenty of love Marvin Jones. Love MVS to break out. These are some players that I'm populating Ninja's
Okay, so
queue with.
Supreme Patty right in front of us. Rogers went, and then Hunter Henry. So we are on the turn. We are taking obviously the 2 picks. I would cape very hard that Robbie Anderson is one of these picks. Andy,
I love Robbie Anderson. I'm fine going Robbie Anderson over like a guy like Pettis.
I was just going to ask, with the 2nd pick, are you feeling Dante Pettis is one of my guys this year, the same way Robbie Anderson's one of my guys this year?
You have 55 seconds to fight.
Well, look,
Go.
I don't have any intention to fight with you. I will just make a general observation. PPR league, is there any part of you that believes the PPR upside of Kirk is interesting?
Oh, of Christian Kirk?
Of Christian Kirk
Not over
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 a guy
those.
like Dante Pettis?
Not over those 2 guys. I would rather have Robbie Anderson or Dante Pettis. The pick
Any
that
interest in doing the Vance dance here?
No, not with all the tight ends that have flown off the board.
And you don't want to touch a running back for this 2-pack here?
No, I would. I mean, Sony Michel is on the clock here, and I know that he's got the injury history, But since we went running back a little later, Sony Michel's very interesting to me, and that would be my pick.
I will give Robbie Anderson. I'll put Robbie in there so we get another 90 seconds. It's intense going back to back here.
Austin Eckler, James White, Sony Michel, very interesting at running back. At wide receiver, Dante Pettis, Robbie
Rashad
Anderson.
Penny? Any interest in Rashad Penny here?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not with Sony Michel there.
Right. I do have interest in stacking and handcuffing, but not with the guys that are currently in.
It's hard for me not to go my guy direction with Dante Pettis. I'm fine with Pettis. I'm fine with Kirk. I'm fine with Michel. I'm fine with Miles Sanders.
If we took a running back, I would take Sony Michel. With the news, maybe it's just the off-season hype, which
Miles Sanders?
which could fool. No,
Let's go
but-
Sony. Let's
All
go
right,
Sony.
Okay, great.
Let's jump in.
That's what I'm talking about. With Sony,
let's do it.
They've talked about
I like that value.
getting him more involved in the passing game.
We're taking two shots. Carson and Michel, both teams have said they want to involve them more in the passing game. Both guys should have near top of league attempts at the running back position.
Yeah.
If either one hit in the passing game, you've got a stud. If they don't, you've got depth and protection at the position.
Early in the offseason, I think it was our first live show when we were talking about bust candidates. Sony Michel was there because he was near the back of the second round. Now we just got him in the 8th. At that point, he is an
it's
extreme value. I love the pick of Sony Michel. I mean, if he's going to be on obviously a great team and get the goal line work, and if there's any way he actually does get involved in the passing game.
Here's a quick PSA, by the way. If you're getting ready to draft, I got a couple things you got to do. If you're getting ready towards the end of this preseason football going on, number one, get your league over on Sleeper.
Yes.
Sleeper, the platform is great, and the reason we endorse it so much is because we've seen them make update after update after update. They want to be the best platform in all of the land.
And they play. They're players who are great designers at the same time. It's not just some massive entity that knows that we need to make a fantasy football platform. They want to make it great.
We've been on the phone with them tens of times just with, hey, this should be different. This could be different. And they have improved it. They are the best platform. That's number one. Number two, subscribe to the podcast. Whether it's on YouTube, you can see the address in the corner.
Except those of you in the league.
Except if you're in the league,
Please
subscribe
ignore this
after the
message.
draft. That's fine.
Oh,
I don't
no.
mind.
Oh, I mind.
Jason's trying to win.
I want to win this league.
Okay. Well, we'll
Just saying.
set up a different podcast for you.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It will be Sam Bradford related.
All right, so
But subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the YouTube channel. Switch over to Sleeper. A couple PPR running backs just went. James White to Tim the Tatman. JuJu took Kenyon Drake.
That's
Both
great.
great values at that point in the draft.
But you would not have taken Drake over
No way.
Sony.
No way.
so I agree. But Chris Carson, ironically, who we took 2 rounds earlier, it's hard to keep track while you're hosting. But Kenyon Drake in a PPR league, I know Kalen Ballage has gotten a lot of runway and hype, but in the first preseason game, he had the full first drive. He looked better to me, and because it's a PPR, I like Kenyon Drake's value there.
So just for draft strategy, ladies and gentlemen out there watching, this is because we're on the turn. This is where we really need to take account, take inventory of what is going on. And if we look across the draft landscape, there are 2 teams that do not have a tight end, us and Tim the Tatman. So we know that probability is high that tight ends are not going to come flying off of the board. Then we look at the quarterback position, because these are what we call the onesie positions. You only have to play one of them, which makes them a little bit easier to replace. And the amount of teams that do not have a quarterback, there are 3. There's us, Team JuJu, and Zac Efron's team. So quarterbacks also should not come flying off the board.
All right, we've got Eckler off the board. It's a good point, Mike. You got to take inventory. We've got 6 picks left as well. Look at where we're at in the draft. When you look at the onesie positions, where we need to take them, we have 6 picks left. Will other teams start to take a second quarterback? It's a 10-team league. Are they going to see the enticing names on the board and snag them or not? I don't know. Jared Cook, in the last round we had Howard, Cook, Ingram, and Henry go off the board, filling the tight end spot. Some PPR running backs going off the board right now. And the wild man, Danny Duncan himself, who went Gordon, who went Green, just went Sterling Shepard. He has a thing for kind of some preseason injuries, I think. Shepard's got the finger cast on.
Well, you call it buying the injury dip, right? Because these guys would be higher in the rankings if they weren't currently dealing with nagging injuries. So you get the dip. Sometimes in the past that's worked. Sometimes in the past, like last year, I bought into
Doug Baldwin,
and that did not work out well. I was buying the injury dip, so that'll be interesting for Danny Duncan.
All right, who's back on the clock? Karl Anthony on the clock. The big man from Minnesota who took Howard in the last round. His wide receiver core right now, Antonio Brown. If the helmet fits, if the shoe fits, Brown could be dynamic.
Could.
Alshon Jeffrey at 504. Kenny Golladay at 607. That's interesting. I mean, this is what I've been saying about Golladay this whole offseason. People just kind of
don't know what to do with him.
They don't know what. Are you in on it? They want to run the ball. Are they going to be a better offense?
It's funny
because
Ninja
didn't take him.
I'm not in on Golladay mentally. So then I go and I look at my rankings, and I'm like, I need to move him down because he's really high. But then I look at the stats. I looked at how he did last year, what the expectations should be for the offense, and I can't move him down. He's actually really high in my rankings. Yeah. But because I think that the Lions are going to be more, run heavy and the passing volume won't be there, I worry a little bit about it. But Golladay should actually be a great pick and has the talent to actually be, a number one wide receiver. We've seen stretches where he was.
We've got a teaser from Ninja. He says he may make an insanely risky selection here.
Interesting.
I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, you make that declaration before you already know you're going.
You have to impress, Ninja. This has to be not just risky, it needs to be insanely risky, or you're a liar.
Let's see.
Saying.
Also, Nelk grabbed Sammy Watkins. That was a guy I had just recently circled as someone to watch as the draft goes on later.
Oh, he's chickening out.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got more picks. Ninja. You can let us know.
And he's on the turn, so on the way back out, he might do it.
So Ninja right now at running back.
His team is really good.
I love his players, but his running backs, Alvin Kamara, Kerryon Johnson, end of list. So I have to believe he's looking at a running back here. And there are...
Or a kicker.
I hope a kicker.
By the way, no
kicker,
kickers in this league. But
you can still
be considered.
You could still look and try to draft them. Highly recommend.
This has been one part advice from the fantasy footballers, one part pure troll.
Yeah.
We have to win the league, but we also have to entertain you. But we have to win the league, but also don't make good picks opponents in our league.
Because we want to win the league.
Because we want to win the league. And we will.
That's the nice thing about being in a league like this where everyone's so competitive.
Gosh dang it.
Oh, are you kidding me again? All we said in our Slack over and over, is there a bug? Is he piped into our Slack? We're just saying Miles Sanders, Miles Sanders, Miles Sanders. We've got to get Miles Sanders when he comes back.
Where are you?
I guess I did. I stupidly.
It's not a risky pick. It's a great pick.
Is that the one he thought was risky? That is a wonderful pick.
Okay, Mike, I know you're running our chat for us. Would you reinforce the turd comment from earlier?
Wow. So, look, if you start Alvin Kerryon Johnson and then you go elsewhere, you end up with a tight end and a quarterback, and Miles Sanders falls to you this late. All I can say is go Jordan Howard. Be strong, Jordan Howard. Make Miles Sanders an unworthy pick here.
So King Ryan went. He took a second quarterback off the board, so he has Andrew Luck with Russell Wilson. Perhaps it came around and he started getting a little worried about the old calf of Andrew Luck.
Two good quarterbacks if you want to stream from your bench.
8 quarterbacks off the board so far,
and then he took Rashad Penny, who would be our handcuff for Chris Carson. And Rashad Penny is more than a handcuff. We don't usually tell people to draft handcuffs. We're against it because early in the season isn't usually when they get their value, and oftentimes you guess wrong.
And handcuff implies that they're just going to sit on your bench and wait.
Right, and that's not what Rashad Penny is. Rashad Penny and Chris Carson will both be valuable on the field. I love the value here in the 9th round of getting Rashad Penny. In general, I would have pushed for him had he gotten back to us. So Miles Sanders and Rashad Penny, 2 players I wanted. Off the board.
Ninja did grab another running back, so he has Kamara, Johnson, Sanders. He's on the clock again. Allen Robinson, it's a good pick at 902.
That's solid value. Allen Robinson is still a good wide receiver.
He's only 25 years old.
Hasn't worked out the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a misnomer. I mean, I'm not in on Robinson to dominate because I think the ball is going to be distributed around in Chicago by Mitch Trubisky. But Robinson's 25. You got to remember last year was his first year off of the ACL. Sometimes people forget that.
Right.
And so He came in.
I forgot
he
that.
was pretty productive. See, Jason, people forget it.
I do this full time for a living.
Yeah, because
That was
it
only
doesn't.
1 year?
Unless I'm crazy, it's
Wow.
1 year off of it because he got signed. He got signed in free agency off the ACL tear by the Bears. Last year was his first year there. So David Njoku goes off the board. A second tight end for Nelk.
I mean,
all right.
and just to confirm, that was his first year off of the ACL tear.
Wow.
And he was very productive in certain games. It just wasn't consistent. You need Chicago's offense to throw the ball more. That's what you need them to do.
94 targets in 13 games. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So I had missed that Karl Anthony-Towns grabbed Jimmy Graham. So he's stacking tight ends. We've got
I think he got airplaned.
airplaned into stacking tight ends.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank
That's
you.
rough.
Thank you. Can we call the pilot? Can we give him a thumbs up on that one?
Yeah.
For turning the Wi-Fi off on
Just,
our behalf?
We'll let you know when you can turn it back on, and you're a go. Wait, nope. Carl's on the clock, and please turn it off.
Turn off your phone. So he's got Howard and Jimmy Graham back on the clock again. We'll see where if he takes a third tight end here.
Delicious.
That will be. I'll come up with a nickname for him related to the triple tight end stack. He had such a very strong start to his draft. Very good team. Needs Antonio Brown to show up. Dante Pettis off the board.
That's a nice recovery pick for
it's
for
a good
Karl
pick.
Yeah,
Anthony-Towns.
that is really, really nice. I mean, we were debating about Dante Pettis and Robbie Anderson in the 7th round. So here in the 9th, Dante Pettis, my guy for Andy. His training camp news has been a little up and down. I don't know how much of that's like motivation to get him to play better. But when he got back on the field last year,
Part of loving him is the film, like you said. He's only got 27 career receptions, but part of it is the opportunity. Even if he's been a little up and down in camp, name the guy that's starting over Dante Pettis for Jimmy Garoppolo.
George Kittle. But that's it, and he's the tight end.
And
I
he's
know
the
what
tight-
you're saying.
You know what I'm
but-
saying? He's the
yes.
tight end, so Pettis is on the field. He's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have his shot.
Pettis will be the number one, and the number one for Kyle Shanahan's system is usually pretty valuable, historically speaking. So I like that pick.
All
Danny
right.
Duncan.
Danny Duncan, the wild man, back on the clock.
Man, I have no idea what Danny Duncan's going to do.
If I had to take a guess here, looking at his
Kareem
roster,
Hunt. That's my prediction.
he's got 2 running backs. I actually think Darius Geis.
Okay.
It fits what he's looking for.
It does.
Someone
With
that
the injury
is
concern.
buying the injury dip, but a huge swing for the fence type of pick. Only has 2 running backs. That's my guess.
Oh, Cameron Newton.
I love Cam Newton. That's another one of the we each 3 have 3 my guys this year. Cam Newton is one of my guys.
Stole Juju's pick, apparently, with Cam Newton.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to a guy that you're grabbing as like the 9th, 10th quarterback off the board who, historically speaking, averages the quarterback 2.5 when he plays 16 games, I mean, when he's on the field, he dominates. So the only worry is some kind of re-aggravation to the shoulder injury. But if you're actually worried about this, like, oh, he had shoulder surgery this offseason, he had the same surgery in the offseason of 2017 where he finished the year as the quarterback 2. So I'm not worried about Cam Newton. I'm all in. Glad to see you stole it from Juju because Juju's team's looking great. And then Goff, you're my guy, Andy, goes right next.
That's also Mike over there.
Did you point at me and say Andy?
I pointed at you. I meant you. I said him.
One of us is handsomer.
Oh, I'm not
I agree.
saying who,
I agree.
but it's me. That's right. So back-to-back my guy picks, Cam Newton and Jared Goff taken away. Those would have been 2 guys I might be looking at this turn.
Yeah, so
This draft has been incredibly fun, by the way.
And kudos to everyone in this draft.
Yeah.
They have been drafting very well,
I'm
which
impressed.
is a huge
Disappointment.
Huge disappointment.
Yeah. I
mean,
thought we could simultaneously commentate this draft and then just have a team that would there's not maybe we would win it at the draft.
This is what
That's the truth. I thought we'd win it at the draft.
dude. So
Now I'm really upset.
This is insight for shout out to the Foot Clan who are watching this with us. We each had a quarterback as our my guy because the value was so great on these guys at the end of
mine
the
was
draft.
Cam Newton.
Mine was Jared Goff. And Andy's was Carson Wentz, who just went
Back to back to back. My guy quarterbacks, great job from everyone involved. And the Vance
And then Vance
dance.
McDonald went.
Yeah, that's
Tim the Tatman, nice pick. I was hoping he'd get to us at 9-10.
Tim's was the only other team of concern for the tight ends, even though a couple doubles have gone off the board.
So we're basically punting our tight end.
Yeah, we're going
That's
to
a
take it with
public
our
proclamation.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and take tight end with our last pick. We'll grab somebody and stream the position on a matchup basis through the year.
I know who we're taking, too.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask
But you
JuJu how
don't.
many targets Vance is going to get. So I'll report.
I didn't think about the fact that he's taking.
Yeah.
That's a
I'm
do breaking news.
I'm going to try and get some inside information here on Vance McDonald. Are we out? Jason is going silent and holding the paper.
He's looking at Mark Andrews. I thought Jordan Reed would be brought up.
Oh, all right.
For a shot. I mean,
so here's what's funny, Mike.
Mike says yes.
Mike, when I pass a note to keep
Like,
on the down low,
Yeah.
if I do that for you, don't say he's looking at this guy.
I didn't say he's looking at
No,
this.
I know.
Oh.
Andy was like, he was passing me a note that said Mark Andrews on it.
All right, we're on the clock. 4 more quarterbacks. Teams are doubling up on quarterbacks. Guys, I'm getting skittish because I got one guy. Here's a little tip, and I could say it now because everybody's taking quarterbacks. 4-point quarterback leagues, a disproportional advantage to running quarterbacks.
Big time.
And so
Let's do it.
I want to take our
Let's do
guy
it.
right here.
I'm with you on it. And we're all from Arizona. We're super excited.
Kyler Murray is going to run the football. We're taking him because I basically just don't think he's going to make it back around to us in the next round. There's no way.
And the honest truth for me is we don't have to have Kyler because there's tons of other great quarterbacks available. But we want Kyler on this team.
This is a passion draft as well.
Tim the Tatman earlier was saying, I don't know if I should go by the book or go with our heart. This was all
That was both, though.
heart.
I want to stack him with Christian Kirk.
I was just going to say.
I want to stack him with Christian Kirk right here.
Do we go full bleed red?
100%. Christian Kirk breakout season. Just ask JuJu.
I have a heart.
Over who? Like who?
He's the pick for me.
I'm fine with the pick, Jay, but who is it that you want?
So I would rather
You have 40 seconds.
I would rather look at Marquez Valdez-Scantling as a breakout candidate. I think Green Bay has a better chance of having a great offense than Arizona.
If you believe that Kyler's going to do what we believe Kyler's going to do, Christian Kirk's the number one for that team.
Yeah,
Devontae Adams is the number one.
But I believe
for
that based on what he's going to do on the ground. I mean, I believe Josh Allen's going to be great for fantasy.
We got
I don't
20
want any
seconds.
wide receivers for Josh Allen.
20 seconds left. I am firmly
It sounds
Kirk
like I'm
over
outvoted.
MVS.
You are outvoted.
All right, go ahead.
We're doing it.
Because
we're stacking it.
Because if we're taking a Green Bay wide receiver, we're going to take the right one. And we'll take Geronimo
No, I
out.
will
Can we
say-
still take Devontae Adams?
I will say
We
this.
missed out on that one.
I'm on team MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think he has a way higher ceiling than Geronimo Allison does. You're on Geronimo Allison's side, but the one thing that does help skew that a little bit, being a full PPR, Geronimo Allison moving to the slot.
He should
get more targets,
receptions.
more volume, but I think that
Hey, guys, you want to throw the big board up? I want people to get a quick look at all of the teams while Supreme Patty is on the clock. So take a look here. And if you are just joining us, this is Andy, Mike, and Jason from the Fantasy Footballers. You can see us in spot 10 there at the turn in through every round. And you've got Ryan Garcia there. You can see his roster. How many rounds are we in now? We are going into round 10.
This is the 10th round.
Ninja with a wonderful-looking team there. Nelk with the double tight end stack.
Man, Ninja's team, if he missed out on that Miles Sanders, could have
I think
really...
Ebron was just – it's a fine pick. He probably could have got him 2 rounds later. That would be the only thing
Right.
that I think he could have done differently. Probably could have gotten Baker. Well,
JuJu's team and Zac Efron's team, to me,
Godwin
are
is a
also
good pick.
are dominant-looking teams. I mean, the nice thing in a 10-team league, nobody ends up with a really bad-looking team. Everybody's team looks great. But if I had to put, the first 3 that come to mind, Ninja keeps stealing all of our picks. So does JuJu. And then Efron, in general, Zach's team just looks...
and your wife.
I mean, yeah.
Just saying.
My wife would be so proud of you for this team you've constructed, Zac Efron.
She would be proud if
you
he
said
drafted
stole
all
your-
defenses.
You
That's
said
100%
he stole
true.
your picks. I meant he may also steal your wife. That was the inference.
It is what it
Ooh.
is.
All right. Well, we were giving JuJu the kudos. How do you feel about him taking the Chicago Bears defense in the 10th round?
I want to. First of all, I'm super thankful he did. Second of all,
we're grateful.
I hope
fellas.
that he influences the rest of the people in this draft more than we do.
Oh, pushing a defensive run?
Correct.
You got to get it started, people.
Correct.
I think if you could miss out, whatever defense you want, you could miss out. So usually, here's some insight why we say, we usually draft defense and kickers very late in drafts. So defenses, even great defenses like Chicago Bears, the year-to-year volatility at the fantasy production from those teams is wide, massive. Going into last year, everybody knew. Everybody knew it was Jacksonville Jaguars, the best defense for fantasy by 10 miles the year prior. They were the one you had to have. You grab them number one. And then even though they were still a very good defense last year in real life, for fantasy production, the touchdowns just didn't fall into place, or the turnovers, the sacks, the specific things that cause fantasy scoring. So it's hard to repeat. It's very rare for a top 5 team to repeat multiple years in a row. But then Chicago defense does look awesome. So
yes.
Yeah, but I mean, we never would have imagined any type of letdown from Jacksonville, like you said. So Zac Efron on the clock.
Taking it to the limit.
Let's talk bigger picture, Mike.
Oh,
bigger
last
picture.
second. Did not time out. Grab Will Fuller.
Yeah, Will Fuller. We'll see what happens with Kiki QT.
Yeah,
his health.
Which the injury on QT we're told is minor, but you got to pay attention when he goes down.
So Karl Anthony-Towns, Ninja, they're talking about the fact this is a 10-team league. They like the feel of it. What I like about this 10-team league is the extra flex position. If you're going to have 10 owners and you want to give a little bit of girth, a little bit of depth to your roster, you need to put yourself in the position where you've got an extra flex spot, so there are more difficult decisions to make on a weekly basis. Everybody's going to have a pretty solid roster in a 10-team, but you got to start an extra guy. I love that.
So it looks like a lot of the people in the league were actually really unhappy with JuJu for taking the Bears. People were eyeing them. They believe in them. Karl
Anthony-Towns came right back, and he took the Los Angeles Rams.
He believes in Aaron Donald.
Let's keep it going.
Let's do
Nelk,
it.
take that defense. Ninja,
Defense.
You should probably take the Lions.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. Detroit looks great. Their defense is going to be so much better this year.
The truth from a lie.
The
You can't
truth
tell the
from
difference.
a lie.
We got a long wait for our next couple picks. We did take a quarterback already. We do not have a tight end yet. We probably won't for a while.
At this point, when I'm in a draft and Vance McDonald goes off the board because he's usually the last one of that upper tier, we're into punt formation. There's 4 or 5 guys at the end that are all very similarly ranked for me in the same tier. I don't care which one I get at this point. So for me, if we're taking our tight end at 13-10, fine. If we take it at 14-1, that's great. So it's at the end for me.
I completely agree. Nelk just went with Adrian Peterson. And that is while Darius Guice is on the clock. And I just want to commend everybody because that's not what you usually see in a lot of these drafts. But I think that is the right call. I think you've got a guy in Adrian Peterson who put up 1,000 yards last year. Darius Guice still coming back from the very difficult injury that kind of had a struggle in the rehab process. I would personally take Adrian Peterson over Darius Guice.
I think Nelk is not
upset.
happy that he made that pick.
Now, is he and he got Josh Jacobs too, right? Those are 2 picks he's unhappy with that I think are pretty darn good.
And this is news to me, but shout out to JuJu Smith-Schuster, who he said on the chat, so we're saying it on the stream, $25,000 to the charity of the winner's choice. So
That is awesome.
Pretty special.
Yep.
We
Fits with everything we know about JuJu and why we're taking part in this draft with him.
Ninja said he's going to match.
Bam.
50,000.
This is fantastic.
That is awesome. We've partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital this year.
Yeah.
We've donated a lot of our proceeds from our live tour. $1 from every Ultimate Draft kit we sell, we give to St. Jude.
Love seeing it.
That
Love
will
it.
be our certainly be the charity
Way to
we
go,
are
guys.
paired with. That's awesome.
Yeah,
These
I
guys
said
are
this.
great.
I said this draft was fun. It just got even better. And here we are, Ryan Garcia back on the clock at the end of the 10th round, going into the 11th round.
And so Ninja took Marvin Jones at the 10-9.
Yes.
And
Smart.
In my opinion, Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, I don't have a tremendous amount of separation between their 2 production. I lean that Kenny Golladay will produce a little bit more, but not by a wide margin. Unlike the wide margin that goes on in drafts where Kenny Golladay went in the 6th round of this draft, the very end of the 10th round, Marvin Jones goes. What's your guys' temperature on Marvin Jones?
Well,
right
that's
now?
a steal at the end of the 10th round. No question about it.
And he gets his lion, just like we got
Sure.
our cardinal. That's one of the things I wish I knew the true insight on everybody's favorite team. You know what I mean? Because that can really help you in a draft as to who might get snagged a little earlier or later or have trade value.
And then Ryan Garcia at the turn took Darius Geis and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And actually at this point of the draft, Jason, I know you were just standing for Adrian Peterson. I disagree. At this point,
because it's late and it doesn't cost you the risk to
I
take
would
guys?
absolutely take the shot on Darius Geis. If he had come back, I would have had to put on a monologue to try
Would you
and go
have
for him.
taken both? 10
No.
So Peterson guys at 10 and 11 just to have an opportunity.
Like if things go wrong for Darius Geis, where he's just not able to be himself back on the field, Adrian Peterson will be a fine floor play. He's not a ceiling player. Where Darius Geis is a ceiling player. When he was drafted, he was an absolute incredible talent.
Here comes the risky pick from Ninja. He's making promises.
Let's
see what it is. He took Allen Robinson, Marvin Jones, great picks in the last 2 rounds.
Right now,
JuJu says he knows who he's going to take, and it is Kareem Hunt.
Hey, you know what?
It's the 11th round.
When you've only got 3 running backs on your roster, Kamara, Carrion, and Miles Sanders, you're saying the second half of the year, I'm going to try to bolster that. The hardship here, right? Actually, here's the thing.
I was just going to bring it up.
Dang it. We didn't think about this. So I'm usually very
personally, I still wouldn't go for it.
Okay, so here's the 2 sides of the coin. If you don't want to take Kareem Hunt, a big rationale from a fantasy perspective for not taking him is that he's going to be a roster clog. He's going to take up a bench spot, limiting your waiver wire all the way till week 10 because their bye week is in there. He's suspended the first 8 weeks, so it's going to be week 10 before you can play him. On the other side, the pro side, this league is a 10-team league where 6 teams make the playoffs. So playing for the playoffs in this specific league is pretty smart. And so you can paint the pictures both ways. Very interesting pick.
You should plan for the playoffs with 6 getting in, but you still got to get in. You got to get to the dance.
And apparently he stole that pick from Karl Anthony-Towns, was looking to grab that here. And
Ravens
he's on the
board.
clock with 15 seconds left. So when you get that pick right before you,
you tilt hard. You tilt hard, man.
You have a plan. It gets disrupted, and then you're on a plane, and that disrupts it as well. We'll see who he goes with. Dede Westbrook.
Oh, that's a great pick.
That is a fantastic pick here. Dede Westbrook. We're at the rounds where you're playing for upside, right? You're at the rounds where if Dede becomes the pure number 1 target for that team in a full PPR league, that is going to be an absolutely fantastic steal of a pick.
Let's go to the full draft board again, guys, and show them the full rosters here as we get into the middle of the 11th round.
Yeah, I think that pick helps his team more than the Kareem Hunt pick would have helped Karl Anthony-Towns, especially since he's had the accidental double up at tight end. I love it.
All right, we've got you can see the draft board up on the screen again, drafting on Sleeper. It's been a very fun draft, very entertaining, except for the parts where Ninja steals all of our favorite players. Zac Efron on the clock right now. You see, we have 5 defenses that have gone off the board now. There are 3 rounds left after this 11th round, and there's no kicker in this league. And every team thus far has a quarterback.
So how are you guys feeling about our stable of running backs? We got Freeman, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, and Sony Michel.
I want to stack some wideouts. That's the way I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm feeling that's pretty solid. We only have to play 2 of these running backs per week, and it's PPR. I feel like we're pretty solid there unless there's a value running back who just leaps off of the board.
Yeah, I'm feeling good because these are, Michelle.
I think
is
there
the
are
starter. Carson's the starter. Jones should be heavily involved. So I'm not
mostly the starter.
Yeah, I mean starter, but wink, wink on a team that has struggled to commit to the run. Efron going with the Vikings.
JuJu did it. He started the defensive
I told you
run.
it might happen.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. The team that no, they're not. I was going to say the team that I'm actually targeting at defense in my drafts is still on the board. I missed Nelk's pick of the Baltimore Ravens. I think that is a great pick. When you're in your fantasy league and, you're grabbing a defense, you want to play the matchups, right? Like, so Jacksonville Jaguars, great defense, fantastic. Week 1, They play against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not sure you want to start the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1, and you don't want to roster 2 defenses. So that's where, I believe the Ravens start the season against the Miami Dolphins. That's a good defense against what projects to be a bottom half defense or offense. So that was the team that I was looking at. I'm going to have to pivot.
All right, Jordan Howard goes to JuJu with the 7th pick of the 11th round. We're almost back on the clock. We still have Tim the Tatman and Supreme Patty to come, and then we will have a back-to-back selection. Start making your short list, Mike.
So Corey Davis just went off the board to Tim. It's been hard knock life for Corey Davis in Tennessee with Marcus Mariota. But Corey Davis, I still believe he has the talent. The question is, can Marcus Mariota finally be healthy and bounce back to the player that was drafted number 2 overall?
Now, I know Jason has a player that he wants to slip to us, he has. Last round, you wanted to look at Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
You wanted Geronimo Allison.
Mike
both
likes Geronimo
They're
Allison.
both there.
Are still there, and as is Curtis Samuel.
Love Curtis Samuel.
There are Cortland Sutton and Emmanuel Sanders are there as well. If you want to, there are a lot of good PPR options here at wide receiver,
and we just need to remember that we want.
Still need a tight end before the end of this
draft.
draft.
Tight end and
a defense.
Yeah.
Well, we might not want to take a defense. This is a strategy we'll find out in the last round.
I honestly don't know if they're going to make us take a defense or not. If they don't, we won't.
Right. If you're playing in a certain league where the setting allows you to not draft your full roster, then we say if you're drafting this early, don't get your kicker, don't get your defense. Use that to grab another. That's where a handcuff running
now
back.
We have 40 seconds, Jason. We got to figure out the pick.
Royce Freeman is very, very interesting. Going in the 11th round here, where Phillip Lindsay went in the 6th round. Both guys are going to have a great opportunity in the backfield. So I want to bring his name up because I think he should be considered. MVS, look, that's my vote with Jason, so we're going to take him.
Nice.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling starting on the outside in Green Bay.
All right, now that we have another pick, let me tell you about this guy, Geronimo Allison.
Look, it's not the worst strategy to take both Green Bay Packers wide receivers.
I would take Royce over him, though. I'd take Latavius Murray over him here. Just imagine.
Latavius Murray,
Just
really?
imagine.
I have Latavius Murray.
Murray has
down.
standalone value, and then if Alvin Kamara somehow went down, just imagine the look on Ninja's face. When we have Latavius Murray, that is troll factor extraordinaire.
Golden Tate is, I guess, right now
Curtis,
he's missing the first.
Mike, I don't want to go double Green Bay.
That's no?
But I'll hand you the
joking.
pick. Royce Freeman, Latavius Murray, Curtis Samuel.
I think those are the 3 guys to consider.
And for me,
or Balash, or Kalen Balash,
because we've already taken the wrong Green Bay Packer to break out.
Mm-hmm.
Marquez could be perfectly fine.
He will be.
I would take the possible breakout on the Panthers. I would take Curtis Samuel.
I love that pick. I think I lean that way over Royce. The value of Royce is great here.
There's still a couple running backs I have my eye on.
But, and we might be able to pick one more.
Yeah.
Ninja, we've made him
fantastic.
No, he's talking about Kamara.
No.
Of course, Ninja, come on. We're not talking we wish no ill. We love Alvin Kamara.
We do. We are big fans of
Super
Alvin Kamara.
Camario, we call him around the show.
So we took MVS and Curtis Samuel. Supreme Patty back on the clock. You can show the draft board again, guys. Let them see what's left. There's not much left in this draft. The Sleeper Bowl, 10-team,
greatest
star-studded
draft of all time.
Fantasy draft coming to you live on YouTube. Whether you're watching on JuJu's channel, whether you're watching on our channel at youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers, we welcome you in. We hope you've enjoyed it. We will be putting this stream up. Look, if you're not watching it live or you're joined late and you want to see the entire stream, the entire draft, all the breakdown, if you want to watch JuJu not draft himself, that also took place at the top of this draft. So that will be on our channel. Royce Freeman,
there he goes.
Great pick by Supreme Patty. Good value, especially if you are running back needy.
He's got them both
at
now,
this
too.
point in the draft. That's great.
So he's got both Broncos running backs. We'll see. We'll see if that works out. That could be a little bit of a nightmare, not knowing which running back to play on a week-to-week basis.
So last year, Andy, you had a little bit of experience in that with the Seattle backfield. back when Mike Davis was still a Seahawk, you ended up in our listener league taking Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, feeling like I don't know which one it's going to be, but if I get both, you'll be fine. You'll be able to win. And it didn't really work out that well for you.
It just took a while for Carson to establish he was the primary running back. So those first 3 weeks, you didn't know where to go, and that's rough, man. You want to get a hot start in fantasy.
It's true. It can go the wrong direction. It can go the right direction with the pairing as well, but you do have to commit to roster spots. I tend to think where he took Royce in this draft is worth taking that chance because the reasoning of getting a value on Royce Freeman literally 6 rounds behind the other co-starter just makes sense to me. I'm going to say right now, look, let's use the stream to our advantage. If someone doesn't steal Latavius Murray away from Ninja, is that allowed?
Is that allowed?
Probably not. Now he'll be upset.
That is a draft room.
Now, yes, that's a draft room.
No. Let's go back then. Let's go back. I wish we had considered Latavius Murray more at our pick. He was such a good pick at 12:01. I just think Latavius would have been a very
great. Yeah.
And there he went. Zac Efron took him.
Oh, beautiful. Well,
that couldn't have been my fault.
I hope.
Shoot.
That was Andy Holloway of the Fantasy Footballers.
Great. Murray off the board after N'Keal Harry. Zach coming through.
Now, there have not been a lot of
Lesean McCoy.
Rookie wide receivers drafted, which is, generally speaking, smart. I know we had the 2014 year when every rookie wide receiver was unbelievable, but historically speaking, rookie wide receivers, even when they have good years, right? Like Dante Pettis had a great stretch last year. DJ Moore did, but it wasn't in the first half of the season. Sometimes they can get off to a little bit slower start.
Karl Anthony-Towns coming in with the last 3 of his 4 picks: Pettis, Westbrook, Golden Tate, absolute PPR monsters, and taking Tate here, knowing that he's likely to miss the first 4 games. You can survive without him.
Can I get your thoughts on something, guys?
Certainly.
We made the decision. I strong-armed you, I would say, into Chris Carson at 601.
Yes.
Part of that was 10-team league. He represented a different tier to me at running back. I knew that there would be value at wide receiver later on. Are you happy with the decision in hindsight looking at Robbie Anderson, Christian Kirk, MVS, and Samuel, or no? Or do you look at it like, hey, if we had gone Tyler Lockett or Tyler Boyd there, you would have been happier with where we're at as a team? I'm just curious because hindsight, look, you don't know who's going to drop to you, but there are a lot of wideouts that I still love that are on the board right now.
I think it worked out because when I think, okay, maybe we could replace Chris Carson with Royce Freeman this last round, or someone that went, there's not that many running backs who have been drafted since Chris Carson, and I think they do represent a worse tier. I still like the wide receivers on the board, so I have no regrets there.
I want to bring up, now we still need a tight end. I want to bring up a little strategy here. We're drafting pretty early, August 10th, okay? A lot of preseason games, a lot of camp. Things can happen to depth charts. We don't wish it on anybody, obviously. We're just being realists with fantasy football.
It's a part of the game.
So you look at potential backfields that have multiple guys. Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber fighting in Tampa. We like the offense improving. Both guys showed well in preseason last night. Kalen Ballage is still there. Matt Breida is going to share time with Tevin Coleman in San Francisco on a good offense. So Devin Singletary, does he emerge as the starter in Buffalo? There are those guys that if an injury happens and you ended up, let's say, God forbid Tevin Coleman goes down. If you had Matt Breida at the end of the draft, you've got a gold mine for the season.
In Singletary's case as well, there's Lesean McCoy, just reporting on the whispers from the bushes, but reports that Lesean McCoy may be traded to a different team. He is very adamant saying he has been told he is the guy, but that we're still a ways away from the season.
Yeah, I mean, and Devin Singletary being a rookie who could play himself into a role, you talk about playing for the playoffs, that's the type of pick I think could work out. It's funny, so I was looking in case we have to draft a defense here at our last round. I'm looking at the schedule, and I finally decide, okay, you know who I want? I want the Dallas Cowboys. Week 1 against the Giants. Interdivisional matchup, lower scoring game at home, and then of course
I have bad news
Tim
for you,
the
Jason.
Tatman.
He went a while ago.
Well, he went this. He was the last defense taken.
Ninja took Kalen Ballage. That's a great pick. Geronimo Allison and then Ronald Jones. So 2 of the guys I just brought up as potential guys that emerge in a backfield, both off the board, both great value picks. Ninja's team has a very strong wide receiving core. Hill, Woods, Godwin, Robinson, Jones, taking some shots at running back now. So we'll see. Supreme Patty very confident that he has already won the league.
My man.
Let me tell you a little story.
My man.
Once upon a time, my cohort right here on the Fantasy Footballers podcast, Jason Moore, he built what was called a super team.
It was at the draft. This was last season. I built a super team, and you guys both believed it. You knew it.
It was a super team.
It didn't look very.
I didn't see a way you would lose more than 3 games.
Right. It was unbelievably stacked. But when you hear who I was stacked with, like David Johnson, who kind of disappointed, Devonta Freeman, who was injured, Leonard Fournette, who was injured.
In and out, yeah.
I had Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams, who actually were great. But the way the chips fell, like week 1, I was the second highest scoring team in the league. I lost. Thank you, Andy, for being the highest scoring team in the league. And loss after loss piled up, and I did not even make the playoffs, and that team crumbled, and I ended up having to sell pieces for this year because it's a keeper league. Super teams,
they can fall apart.
They can fall apart.
Yeah.
But so, not ours. Ours is great.
That's why
our
you got to
keep. Team is fantastic, and we're going to win.
You got to keep listening to the podcast and checking out the YouTube. So you win through the year. You pick up the big waiver wire picks, the sleepers, the streamers, the busts. Lamar Jackson, great pick by Nelk.
Yes.
Especially in a league, 4-point quarterback scoring, the cheat code on the ground. They have pretty much come out and said, look, Lamar Jackson, if you look at last year, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, both players ran like crazy over the back half of the year. But Lamar Jackson did it on design runs. Josh Allen did it on scrambles. Design runs, far more predictable. It's going to be a part of the offense. Both wide receiving cores a little bit suspect. So as some of these younger guys come into form. So Lamar Jackson, great pick in the 13th round. If we had not taken Kyler, which we just wanted to do, if we had not taken Kyler, Lamar would have been
probably around that 12 mark.
Probably around the 12th pick. Yep.
Well, and the truth is, and this speaks to, we're late round quarterback drafters. We took Kyler out of our heart and our love for experiencing the Kyler Murray fever that's going on right now. But had we not taken him, I would be fine with Jameis Winston, with Dak Prescott, with Josh Allen ahead of those two guys. I mean, we're basically at our last picks here coming up to the turn, and we would have been fine at quarterback. That's why we say to wait. Josh Allen over the back half of the year, when he got back, he was the quarterback 1, which is insane.
Over that span, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Karl Anthony-Towns back on the clock.
Oh, is the airplane going to get him again? It looks like it did.
Has selected Phillip Rivers.
All right.
At this point, for a backup quarterback,
you could do worse.
I just hope. This is my hope.
Greg Olsen off the board. We're in the second to last round.
Karl Anthony-Towns, he drafted Patrick Mahomes early. So my hope is that maybe a matchup makes him go, maybe I should look to Phillip Rivers.
Oh, come
I'm just saying.
Not when you have Mahomes.
Well, right. Exactly. Maybe it'll tempt them. All right, so we are 5 picks away from our spot.
Yeah, I know who Mike wants.
Yes.
I will not reveal it until we're on the clock.
I have our defense selected if we have to take one.
If you're a Foot Clan member, if you're watching this stream, we may follow some rules coming up.
Yes. There's a lot of rules in fantasy
Juju's
football.
on the clock. Juju took Kelsey in the 3rd round, already has a tight end, took Carson Wentz in the 9th round. Carson Wentz is one of my guys. Love him this year. I think has great value. I like Wentz more than Breeze. I like him more than Wilson. So good value there. Took the Bears, then Jordan Howard, then N'Keal Harry. 2 picks left for Juju. Where are you going to go? You think he's going to pay homage to one of his teammates here at the end of the draft?
I would love it if he did. I feel like that would give us a little bit of insight.
Moncrief.
If he takes Moncrief?
Does he go Moncrief? Deontay, does he go James Washington?
I'm not even sure that Juju knows at this point. I'm not sure Mike Tomlin knows who the wide receiver 2 is at this point.
But maybe Mike Tomlin will look to this draft and what Juju has said about his teammates, and that will change something. No, there's still great wide receiver names on the board. It's showing me, too, in a 10-team league like this, the waiver wire, those wide receiver pickups.
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G.
He wanted to up the Q quotient of his team, get that handsome factor up, so we went with the handsome man himself, Jimmy Garoppolo.
A little bit of insight. One of the reasons we go late round quarterback is I want people to understand who's on the board here at the end of this draft. Jameis Winston, Big Ben, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Mitch Trubisky, Josh Allen, who should be great. Another one just went. Dak finally went. But there are still a lot of good quarterbacks out there that I would be okay streaming picking up off a waiver wire to stream in a right match.
Let me ask this. I completely agree with you. Josh Allen should be taken already. I think we all believe that, especially in a 4-point per passing touchdown league like this would it be worth grabbing Josh Allen? We don't usually grab 2 quarterbacks, but who is more valuable than Josh Allen, who could end up being a top pick? Now, the camera right now is on me, but if it had been on Mike, you would have seen a grimacing face. It was not all about that pick. Tell me why.
I don't disagree at all that he could emerge and be a top fantasy option, especially when Josh Stallion is on the run. For me, even with this many teams taking 2 quarterbacks, the waiver wire is still going to be so ripe for streaming quarterbacks in the right position.
Feel comfortable with Kyler?
I personally
starting the year
do.
against Detroit and then just letting it roll. Is there another player that we'll get to see something from in week 1 that is more attractive? I mean, we're going to grab a tight end here. We're going to secure one.
Right. I mean, there's Emmanuel Sanders is still on the board.
I know.
Is he back from that devastating injury? Because it sounds like he's back and it looks like he's back, but those 2 things in training camp are very different than on the NFL field.
10 seconds left for Supreme Patty. I will say this too, Mike. Deshaun Jackson is there because if Deshaun Jackson, even if we don't even look at it like we need to play him, if he came out week 1, 2 touchdowns from Carson Wentz, 2 deep bombs, what is the trade value of Deshaun Jackson at that point? Cortland Sutton ends up going. I know who Mike wants. Jason, are you going to sign off?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm fine drafting this tight end. I would have gone Mark Andrews, but we selected...
Not in a PPR, man.
Sure. Jordan Reed. Rule 86 is a long-time rule from the fantasy footballers.
The final chance.
If Jordan Reed is healthy, you play him in fantasy football. He has been a PPR machine at tight end. Right now, he is healthy, so we took him. Here's the question, though, whether we have to take a defense or not. If we take a defense, it's going to be the Eagles. They open the season with the Redskins. They're a solid defense.
We should just take them. I think I know you don't have to, but the stack is fine. I feel like because of that matchup that you said, is it Haskins or Keenum? Who's out there on the field against them?
Here's who I would take over the Eagles. Devin Singletary. Because if there is any chance that Lesean McCoy could get traded, his value before the season overnight becomes extreme irrelevant.
We've only got four running backs. I'm with you.
Yeah, Devin Singletary is
Let's
my
go,
guy.
Devin. They didn't make us take a defense, so we didn't even take one. We'll pivot.
Whoops.
We'll drop somebody.
Our bad.
We'll drop somebody before the season. That'll be a tough decision. Maybe it's Singletary simply because
if Singletary's still the running back 4 on the depth chart like now, then you just get rid of him, pick up the Eagles or whatever defense. The Broncos are out there with Vic Fangio. They open the season against the Raiders. Another good option. Plenty of options at defense. So grab the guy whose value could change before the season. Drop him right before week 1.
All right, if you've been following along with this draft, all the picks, following along with Tim the Tatman and JuJu Ninja and company, you can go mock draft over on Sleeper. That's where we're doing this real draft on the Sleeper platform, the sleeper.app. And look, if you listen to the Fantasy Footballers podcast, you've heard us talk about them a lot. Always breaking news. Some of the news we're talking about. If Devin Singletary passes Lesean McCoy, that's going to break on Sleeper. You'll have an inside track. So definitely check them out. Check out our podcast as this draft gets close to wrapping up. And we'll do a little when this thing closes out, we'll bring up the draft board. We'll talk through our favorites.
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna start prioritizing my favorites right now. And you brought it up, Andy. Sleeper, best platform to play on right now. Get your league over there. If for some reason your league can't, they are the best platform for breaking news too. If you want to get those waiver wires quicker and know like, oh, this unfortunate injury just happened, but I know it the second it happens. Check out the Sleeper app; it's worth it.
All right, we'll recap our team as this round finishes out. Right now, we got Kyler Murray at quarterback, Devonta Freeman, Aaron Jones at the running back positions, along with Chris Carson, Sony Michel, and Devin Singletary. Our wideouts: JuJu Smith-Schuster, Julio Jones, Robbie Anderson, Christian Kirk, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Curtis Samuel.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
and Cooper Kupp, I'm sorry.
Cooper Kupp at the back of the 5th round.
Late shot on Jordan Reed. We can pivot to some guys that we like. if it doesn't pan out for him, like Delaney Walker could still be solid. Hawkinson should be on the field for nearly all the snaps in Detroit. And
Noah Fantastic in Denver.
Noah Fantastic.
Or
Mark Andrews.
We could get Dallas Goedert, who is going to be awesome.
Dallas Goedert is currently week to week, Jason. Have you heard that?
He is not going to play in week 2 of the preseason, but from what I hear, that is...
So, wait, was it week 2 WEAK? Like, it's week. He's not going to be there.
No, it is preseason game 2.
You would not take Dallas Goedert over those guys.
Lane Johnson isn't playing.
He's great.
No, I would not take Goddard over those guys, but I do think Goddard,
that opportunity.
Even though he is a tight end 2, which is usually an irrelevant thing for fantasy football, I still think there's a chance. I do.
All right, Emmanuel Sanders did go in the 14th round. I like that shot by Tim the Tatman because Sanders right now, he looks good.
He does.
D-Jax, drafted by JuJu. That's a home run pick. Big Ben.
Zac Efron grabbing Big Ben.
We are 5 picks away from closing it out.
This has been a really successful draft. I think that I look at how the teams have drafted, how these guys have done. People have built their teams the right way.
Look, with this whole entire draft, Danny Duncan has been the ultimate wild card.
Yes.
I have no idea what he's going to do. He's got a different strategy than I do. And then in the last round,
It's great.
he grabs potentially Bruce Arians' starting running back, who, if you look through
Peyton Barber
if you
is
look
his
through,
name.
Yes, if you look through time, the starting running back for Bruce Arians produces at a high fantasy level, and Peyton Barber here could be a running back savior for this team.
As of right now, he is the starter.
Right.
He's ahead of Ronald Jones. He got the first snaps of preseason game 1. It could just be a flat committee, but that's not usually how Bruce Arians does it. Now, is that just because of the personnel he's had when he's had Chris Johnson or David Johnson?
3 picks
see.
left in the draft. I got to say the highlight for me has to be selecting JuJu in his own draft. Because I wouldn't be surprised. I've read some of the scoring settings, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some JuJu-only bonuses that he has worked into the scoring settings. And,
I think he would have taken himself at that point.
I just want him to be responsible for us beating him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, man.
That's very important, and he's going to do his best to make sure that's the case.
Yes, he is. I would not be surprised if at the end of the year, I've said this a lot around the office. I've been a believer since college days and coming in rookie year. I would not be surprised if he's the wide receiver 1 at the end of this season for fantasy. So the fact that we got him in a full PPR 2 flex league that he is in is fantastic.
Absolutely. 2 picks left. Ninja closing his draft out. Ryan Garcia closing it out. We got to give a huge shout out to everybody involved. JuJu for getting this thing going, and everybody that spent their Saturday drafting over on Sleeper, the Sleeper Bowl. Star-studded, really good draft, really smart picks, which was really annoying for us that thought it would be a cakewalk. It wasn't. Smart people in this room making great picks. And my goodness, Matthew Stafford goes with his last pick.
To Ninja.
Pay homage to Ninja, just to have him on the roster for a little while.
I love it.
And you got a favorite? You got a favorite team right now? If you're pulling this thing up as it closes out,
Let's see if we're looking at that whole draft board.
most annoying teams. I mean, JuJu's team is really
Read
strong.
JuJu's team.
Well, he went Hopkins and Adams with the first 2 picks. You can't get better than that. You guys have Adams as number 1. Hopkins is my number 1. He got them both. Kelsey in the 3rd round at the 7th pick in a PPR. And then so at that point you're saying, hey, what running backs can I pile up? And he piles up Fournette, Montgomery, Coleman, and Drake. Very strong that late in the draft. Calvin Ridley, the shot there.
Yeah,
N'Keal Harry, D-Jax, thinner at wide receiver.
Especially the PPR,
Yes.
the high-volume type wide receivers. Ridley and D-Jax are great players. We'll see how N'Keal Harry does as he works his way into the league. He's got Tom Brady as his quarterback, so that certainly helps things out. But he will be relying on the strength of Tevin Coleman and Kenyon Drake in their pass catching.
I just went through each team right to left, a lot of good teams, and
You went right to the left?
I don't know why, but I did.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, I don't like it, but I love it. But my favorite team, it is Ninjas.
All right.
I really love the fact that he could start Kamara, Tyreek Hill, Kerryon Johnson, Robert Woods, and then later in the draft grab some guys that I think were good values for his team, like Miles Sanders and Marvin Jones.
Now, it does appear in week 1 we're going to be taking on Danny Duncan. That's the schedule that's in there right here, right now.
So who knows what's going to happen?
So if, Melvin, you want to come back week 2, maybe that's pretty selfish of me.
I'd say it's a little bit
completely
selfish
of me. Yeah.
A little bit selfish.
But now strategically seems like the right call, Melvin. But some great rosters,
Reading through this rosters, I mean, Zac Efron's team is actually really strong with the 2 running back, 1 potential. Then in a PPR, Adam Thielen and Julian Edelman, 2 of the top target leaders in the past few years.
Zac Efron, JuJu, and Tim the Tatman, I think all 3 of those were the 3 that were in consideration for that number 1 spot. But everybody's team looks pretty good. They all have strengths. They all have weaknesses because it's fantasy football, and we're all trying to construct the best roster. But here's the deal. This is going to be a competitive league. Like, this is not going to be one of those where at the end there's 4, or 5 great teams and 4 or 5 terrible teams. That's not what's happened.
Tim the Tatman's team turned out really well. Supreme Patty, some strong picks in the middle rounds. A bunch of these other guys competing for second place. That's going to be a big competition.
Yeah,
for who comes up second. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun.
I really do think, Ninja, you have right now the best shot of coming up second. I think that there's a – I mean, you have a very good shot of losing to us. And so, good luck to everyone for that second place.
Again, shout out to Sleeper for putting this thing on, the Sleeper Bowl, for JuJu coming up with the big charity donation, Ninja matching it. Talk about making a great league even better. And please stay with us. Hang out with us all season long on the YouTube channel. You can see it in the corner, youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers.
If you're a podcaster, just search for Fantasy Football. We'll pop right up. Join us 5 days a week.
Follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Check out the Sleeper app. Get involved. This is going to be a really fun year. I was watching through these preseason games, guys.
Getting hyped.
And it's just like football's on my screen. And I'm like, we're back, baby.
What I have found out is that football's great. This is what I found out over years of
full-time work in
football. Is that every time football comes back around, it's like, yep, I love this game. This is just a lot of fun. It's been fun doing the draft. Thanks for being here with us, everybody.
And thanks to everybody involved. Good luck to everybody this year. We'll be following up. We'll probably be talking about this league here and there on the podcast, sharing stuff on socials. So stick around. See how these teams turn out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and let's hope these guys can stay healthy as we get into the season.
And we'll see you on Monday.
Absolutely, for the podcast. So goodbye, everybody. First official Sleeper Bowl in the books.